what you're laughing about? Are you looking at the new emotes?
No, we don't have them.
Oh no, I hadn't seen. I was laughing at Sophie and her weird gesticulations there. What? Wait. Oh wait. You said that for my benefit. What's the new emotes?
Oh, I don't know what it is, but we have a new new slot open.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have a new slot on Twitch?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they're
dying to have a new
I think I might know why we have that new slot.
Hey John, can you move your computer, bud?
I'm moving it. I'm trying to get us a new slot on YouTube so we can do our Rainbow Dragon.
Oh my God.
So what's the new emoji gonna be on Twitch?
I don't know. That's happened.
Okay, well, I'll be on the edge of my seat in fear.
Do it. What the fuck? I don't know what the new main show.
Your mic is going in and out for me.
Oh,
by the way, I do. So as I said yesterday, I think that Sabrina would be an amazing addition to a power panel. I think
I'll reach out. It's a good thing.
First hour, it could be me, Jake, and her. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, I agree with this. I will make it. I will make it so.
Okay, awesome.
You know where I learned that?
3 minutes.
I will.
I think I do actually.
Do you know? No, tell me. Guess.
Star Trek. I would imagine.
No.
Because that's
extras. In extras, where he's like, "Oi, you can't ride your bike on the grass." Oh, can I? And then her clothes melt off, and I ride away.
I've seen everything.
I've seen everything. Oh, you can't. But I've seen everything.
I want to meet him one time in my life. He would be probably like top 10 people I'd want to meet. It's tough, because there's, that's gonna be the top 10 list next week.
There's a lot happening.
I just came up with it right then. Hold on. Top 10 people that can merge. Anyway,
he's writing this in Snapchat.
Snapchat. Anyway, so I recently, speaking of extras, I recently started watching the HBO cartoon version of the Ricky Gervais show again. Have you ever watched that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple episodes. There's some jokes that wouldn't play well now, obviously, but it is very funny. Like I had a period where I burned through a bunch of stand-up comics on like Netflix that were really funny, but I don't know if there's ever been anything in the last couple of years that has made me like driving in my car laugh out loud like a maniac as much as the Ricky Gervais show, the stuff that this Carl Pilkington says.
It took me a minute. You know what we watched the shit out of?
What?
Is
What? Well, I mean, it doesn't matter now because we're not live, but what?
We watched the hell out of comedians in cars getting coffee.
I've like never watched that.
It's hit or miss, but when it's a hit, it's a hit.
Is Jerry Seinfeld very funny, or is it just his guest that tends to be funny?
Most people, it takes a while to get accustomed to who Jerry Seinfeld is in this show.
Well, I mean, I loved Seinfeld, but is that
so? It's not that he's a jerk. He is a wildly
he's
rich
a jerk on Seinfeld,
but he's so full of himself. The amount of times he talks about how successful a comedian he is, and how he loves being rich, and how he loves being famous, and how he loves being able to afford these cars.
Are they in different cars all the time?
So he picks. Imagine this. The way that a Happy Half Hour picked a different drink for the guests at the beginning.
Yeah.
He does that with cars. That's why I do it, to be honest.
Like, does he walks into a big place full of cars and then goes up to one? He's like, this is the one I'm gonna take.
The intro is always different. He's like, let me, he's like, this is the 1957 Ferrari California GT. Less than 100 were made. It's sleek, it's fast, it's amazing.
This is a different reference than what you're.
And then he's.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here at the Damage Report. An episode to end a week, the week that was awful, but we're hoping that today will be cool. We got a secret weapon, Brett Erlich. How's it going?
What? He is? What? So if it's a secret, don't tell people about it, John.
Damn, we've spoiled the whole thing. Well, I guess that's all the time we've got. No, thank you for being here. I'm hoping that we'll have a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, I made the rundown, so we'll see what we can do.
So
thank you.
Unrelated question: when is the hair purple? When is that? I think a lot of people are wondering. There were over 1,000. First of all, when we have both different reasons not to lean our heads forward. Mine is to show just how little hair I have. Yours is how when you wear a headset, it just depresses like a line across the top of your head.
Does that not happen to anyone other than me?
Oh, it happens to me. Anyway. It always happens. Yeah. It's not you.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way.
Yeah.
So Sabrina, who is, let's just keep it real, a Disney villain. So she came up with this idea that if we got 1,000 Twitch subs, I'd dye my hair purple, which was, that's a funny joke. Her hair is purple. What the hell? You got this ready to go?
What?
Oh God. Anyway, damn you, Jordan. Jordan Yule, whose birthday it is, screwed me over with that shot on the right. Anyway, so it's 1,000 subs though. You're not supposed to be able to get 1,000 subs, certainly not in a day. And we did really fast. So I guess it's gonna happen.
So it's gonna happen, and this is something that I think I did a pretty poor job of hiding from you earlier. Because of those 1,000 subs, we were able to unlock a new emote slot, and that slot has already been filled with, let's see what they called it.
Oh my God,
Turks perp. So those of you watching on, those either who are watching on Twitch and subscribing, or people watching on other platforms who are Amazon Prime affiliated, can jump over. And just there's a video, tyt.com/prime. It'll teach you how to link your Amazon Prime for a free sub, and you too can use Turks perp.
Yeah,
for that purple drink of water, John Iadarola.
Saw on the main show when that abomination was rolled out. Great, wow. Thank you. I never really felt welcome in the chat anyway, but now clearly I'm being driven away. Anyway, so look, I don't know exactly when it's gonna happen. I don't want you to know exactly which day, but it will happen. Now, you need to understand, my hair is not long for this world generally. It's not like the tip of my hair's been here since Carter or anything, but we did it. And I don't wanna disrespect either the community or Sabrina, so it will be happening. And you will all suffer, because the thing is, I don't have to see it. You all have to see it. It'll be invisible to me. I'll forget it's even there, but you will have to look at me and it will devastate you minute by minute. Anyway.
You're gonna have to set aside the serious stories for a few days.
I know, it's like, oh God, hostilities have resumed. Israel launching raids into Palestine. Like what, this is what you want. You're gonna ruin me.
Have an earring and eyeliner, because I think that look, or like dark around, like really dark around the eye, because I think you could pull that off. Like that alter ego of like, and I'm sure I'm just basing this on a Fortnite skin, but like John, like punk John, but like straight edge. Like I have advocating taking care of your body.
Shut up. Shut up. Anyway, I've always wanted a tattoo. Maybe I'll go for that. Anyway, we got news. You want it. Presumably, so we're gonna give it to you either way, but it's coming. So if you could hit the like button, share the stream, that would be great. We're gonna take some breaks. We'll read your comments, respond to your super chats, and all that. Thank you to everybody who took part in our tier 3 live members Q&A yesterday. We had the most people we've ever had in one. We had a ton of fun talking about a whole bunch of nonsense for like almost an hour. So thank you everybody for being a part of that. There will be another one coming in like 3 weeks or so. But that said, we've got some new. Oh, also, we've got a garbage can, and a garbage can needs garbage. So there's a lot out there, but which? You can help us choose by going to the community tab, youtube.com/thedamage report, and voting. You might have to scroll down a little bit, but eventually you'll see a poll, the community garbage person of the week. We wanna know what it is. We'll be closing out the show with our garbage people, so get it in while you can.
And really quick, thank you, Elise, for the original emotization of John's jank drawing, and then Yeetwood Mac for the purple remix of the John emote. Your work has not gone unappreciated, so thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody.
The single biggest artistic endeavor for not only people's enjoyment, but activists.
Probably, yeah. Thank you everybody who gave subs. I know Hottie Meter gave like 200. So thank you. That's a crazy level of support. So thank you to all of you who did though. It was a huge joint effort. As Sabrina pointed out, can you deny the power of collective action now? But anyway, okay. With that, I don't know about the beard, by the way. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's gonna be terrible no matter what.
Should do an ombre. Where it goes from
a bad ombre,
like a nice gradient from the tip of your chin.
I'm just gonna start talking about the pandemic, and you can still be doing that, but we'll see. It's gonna be like me with purple hair talking about some war. Anyway, okay, wait, no, we got a video, right? Don't we? Yes, let's jump right in the video.
What do you say to the folks who watch this who say, yeah, but kids are, only slightly affected? This Delta variant that we're seeing now changes the game from my perspective. The children are more ill, they require higher levels of care, and sadly, I think we're going to be seeing more deaths over the coming weeks.
So look, that is a very small excerpt of a longer report about, I believe it's mostly in Louisiana, younger and younger people getting sicker and sicker from COVID. They profile a 17-year-old who has been in the hospital, and that doctor there is saying they're getting sicker, they're in the hospital, we should expect more deaths coming up soon. And obviously this is not, this is not just a thing of the Delta variant, but it's making it worse. It appears to be penetrating into younger populations. Dr. Rick Barr, chief clinical officer at Arkansas Children's Hospital, said, "We're seeing a real surge with the Delta variant that we did not see previously. This is the worst that we've seen it for kids, absolutely." And he said that parents are shocked because the messaging out there has been that kids don't really get sick with COVID. Which, sure, a lot of people believe that, because unfortunately a lot of people have been saying that. And saying it up until recently. And if you watch Fox News, I'm not surprised that might be what you think. And so yes, you're gonna be shocked if your 17-year-old ends up in the hospital when you've been so misinformed. Right, what do you think?
I mean, there's a lot to unpack about the recent surge in coronavirus cases. One, it's very frustrating that this surge happened after such a precipitous decline, which I don't know, seemed to coincide with the release of the vaccine. These stats, if you look into this is going to be me encouraging people to look into themselves to the effectiveness of vaccines. And this is not me telling you what to do. This might be science compelling you. The power of psi compels you. That if you do get that vaccine, we're seeing things like 99.5% of deaths from COVID are among the unvaccinated. 99.5% of the deaths of COVID lately, since we've had the vaccine, are among the unvaccinated. Like those numbers are crazy. Most people who die from this are unvaccinated. And when I say most, I'm not like 75%. 99.5%, according to new data, of people who have died from coronavirus are unvaccinated, which just seems to imply that if you're vaccinated, and maybe it's reinforcing, maybe there's people who get vaccinated who also reduce their chances by following other guidances. But then again, isn't that how you handle literally everything else? Yep. Every other every other dangerous situation, you would evaluate which of these safety precautions you would like to follow or employ. And for me, it's been basically following the mask guidance and getting vaccinated. And so far, it's worked out well. Is it 100%? No, nothing's 100%. But I think it's in people's best interest to actually be honest with themselves about the numbers that they're espousing as like reasons that they're making these choices. Yeah. And the odds of you dying from the vaccine itself, as the numbers I've seen, are wildly low, like 0.00019%.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the people who are telling me that they're smart with these new numbers that and the risks that they're warning me against, but they don't have data to back it up.
Yeah, look, obviously there are people who are absorbing a lot of misinformation, and then that's sort of related to, but distinct in some ways from them potentially lying about their actual reasoning. Like you sort of responded to some of what, like it's not 100%. So we hear people say like, well, what's the point? Like, or whatever. But like, nobody actually functions that way in their life. Nobody ever just does things that are 100% and that's it. Like no person who like really thinks that like they have to have a handgun for self-defense believes it's 100%. So then just get rid of it. What's the point? I mean, if it's not gonna protect you from 100% of all robberies, then why would you ever have it? It's such a waste of time. I mean, it pulls down one side of your pants. Why would you do it? Because that's not actually how they think. They're saying that about COVID, but it's not actually true. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the misinformation as well as some of the new messaging coming out of the CDC. And let's start with the stuff about kids. Let's put a button on the kid thing because the misinformation about the kids is current. Dr. Nicole Safier is a Fox News medical contributor. Here is what she had to say last night. But until we have something showing us that COVID-19 can cause severe illness in children, I think the benefit of children wearing masks really does not outweigh the risk of these young children, less than 14, wearing masks all day. I think it's important to remove the masks from them. At this point, any adult can get vaccinated and they can still wear high-grade medical masks to further their protection if they so choose. So, first of all, not only are there more and more kids in hospitals literally right now that this medical contributor either doesn't know about or doesn't care about, but we've known that they can get sick for a very, very, very long time. And regardless of that, she said it doesn't outweigh the risk of them wearing masks, which would be, I don't know, you don't have to say. You don't have to say, and you shouldn't really, because if you were to say a specific risk, it's gonna look really ridiculous compared to the risk of the kid dying or potentially getting, some teacher sick and them dying. No risk that you're gonna point out is gonna seem rational. So just don't get specific again. That's like the overall thing about them. But anyway, Sophie, that's funny. Yes, and so we're also finding out more about what the CDC is saying about this. They're comparing its ease of spread to the chicken pox, according to an internal document from the CDC. And so I just want to mash a bunch of stuff together because some of the most core fundamental misinformation, we still haven't gotten past it. So one is that kids can't get sick. I cannot believe that a year and a half into this, we're still saying that, but they are still saying it. Tucker Carlson had a show earlier this week where he said, wait, it turns out that some people are still getting COVID after having the vaccine. Why is this? Nobody knows. That's insanity. That's worse insanity than some cultist trying to summon an elder god from the deepest depths of the ocean. Like everybody knows that you could get sick. However, when you tell people we don't know, it's so shocking. Why is this happening? It leads people to then say, well, I guess I don't need to get vaccinated. And that is obviously not true because as the CDC document is pointing out, your protection is not 100%, but it's still really strong. So let's bring up this chart and you're gonna see an 8-fold reduction in getting COVID, a 25-fold reduction in hospitalization, and a 25-fold reduction in death from COVID thanks to the vaccine. So no, you're not immune to fire or anything, but you're much less likely to become severely ill. And they point out you should still get a COVID vaccine even if you've already had COVID-19. I'm just throwing that out there to get ahead of what Tucker Carlson is gonna be saying next week. Yes, you can get sick. Yes, you can pass COVID if you have the vaccine. You could even pass COVID to somebody who is also themselves vaccinated. But if that is happening, and it is happening, you're gonna want as many people as possible to be vaccinated because at least then it might not be that bad. So anyway, I know, Brett, that's a lot of different things, but I just feel like it's a million little mosquitoes of misinformation that we have to continually like slap at, and they just come back anyway.
Right, but there's a million little mosquitoes, but there's one destination for all of them. They all don't. They're saying sciencey stuff. They're saying things that sound like they profess themselves to be reasonable people. But the destination is just to be contrarian, just to feel like they know more than you. And this is if I was, what would Tucker say about Tucker? Is he's an elitist. He thinks he knows better. He thinks he can get away. He thinks he's right because he's asking questions. So is science, is just questions. It's all the questions. And he throws them out there rhetorically, but they all have answers. That's what's so frustrating. What is the VAERS outcome? What's the deaths, as VAERS says, like adverse effects of the virus and getting everything like that. Yeah, they're those answers are out there, and those answers still, even if they say like, I see people saying like, oh my God, why do they keep changing the overall effectiveness of this vaccine? It's like, well, you get new numbers, but those numbers are still way higher in terms of protecting you from getting the virus again, or from being diagnosed as a positive case, than not getting the vaccine at all. Like it's these things where, for me, the destination is survival. For me, the destination is doing the thing that I'm not going to kick myself afterwards because all the signs were there. Like, I hate that. That's why I won't go skydiving, because I know if I go skydiving and something happens, I'll be less upset about dying and more upset about me knowing how dangerous what I did was and ignoring that. Like, and so that's why I hear, anywhere between 60 and 80% effective, 80 and 90% effective against transmission of the virus and being counted as a positive case. I do that thing.
Yeah.
The negative effects, people dying, even the wording in this statistics of like something like 0.00019% of people have died after getting the vaccine. That includes anaphylaxis, people who were allergic to it and didn't who were just allergic to it and didn't get 100%. Like help in time. And that's such a small number. Like that it just doesn't bear out that you would resist this vaccine, to me. And people who are saying that it bears out that they should resist it, in their opinion, their justification doesn't make any sense.
No, none of it does. Like we're still going through all of this stuff. We have a solution. We could be done with this in like 2 weeks if people would just go to CVS for a few minutes right now. And last year was rough in a lot of different ways. Covering the news was a cheese grater to the brain. Having to continually reassess humanity and our society. And I honestly think if we had known in the thick of it, or I'll only speak for myself, if I had known in the thick of it that they're not gonna take the vaccine, if we miracle happens, we get it in a year, I don't know if I would have made it through last year. That would have just been the last straw right there. That we're suffering so much. If only we could get to the vaccine. Oh no, by the way, they're not gonna take it. Nope, that's it, I give up. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about this. I wanna cover a bit more of the right-wing misinformation and its effect on people when it comes to COVID. So we're not gonna delve super deep into some of these stories because there's too many. But here's a sort of story. It's a new genre that we occasionally cover in the pre-show on TDR. This individual, Daryl Barker, was passionately against the COVID-19 vaccine. He said, I was strongly against getting the vaccine just because we're a strong conservative family. So look, vaccine hesitancy or suspicion or opposition comes in many different forms. I don't know what percentage this sort of one is, but he at least believed that if you are a conservative, you should not get a vaccine. It is a thing that is bundled up with your ideology. Like, we know that it's bundled up with the ideology, but I didn't even suspect that people were consciously making that decision. Like, well, I want to check the box on being a strong conservative. And you can see he's in the hospital. 10 people in the family got sick. So hopefully you've had a chance to learn, but that's what you get after months and months of being lied to. And in some cases, the lies are incredibly obviously untrue. So this is a story we chose not to do a couple days ago, but you can find out the details on Media Matters. Tucker Carlson downplays spike in coronavirus cases. So here specifically, he's talking about in LA County. So he said LA County's ridiculous because they want people to wear masks again, when if you look at the change in COVID, you can't even tell the difference. That's what he told his audience, many of which don't live in LA, don't know, and aren't gonna search the data. We had over 3,000 cases just in one city yesterday. Like 6 weeks ago, what did we have? 170, maybe 200? It's like 15 times what it was. This week though, he said, you can't even tell the difference. It's indistinguishable. It is just a lie, that's all it is. And I can accept maybe them lying about the blue states, that we don't have COVID, we're pretending we have COVID. That's a weird thing to say, but it's even weirder when a right winger will listen to Tucker one night say that, and then the next day they'll go on and Jesse Waters will tell them, if you look at the map of the United States and they show the hot spots, all of the hot spots are in huge Democrat cities, which isn't true. But if it were true, it would be directly contradicting Tucker's misinformation. But somehow they've created a system where telling right wingers that there's no COVID in blue cities helps out their propaganda, while simultaneously telling them there's lots of COVID in blue cities also helps out their propaganda. So I don't like, is it the same person seeing all of it? I don't know, Brett. Nonsense. It's all nonsense.
I love Ben Mankiewicz, but what I hate about him is when he said that no interest, like every interesting person's a hypocrite. And it's not that these folks are interesting, and he's like, hypocrisy arguments don't mean anything. They make me feel better. And that's really all I can do is when you point out the hypocrisy. You have, like, Abbott is strangely the first person that I actually at least understand as being consistent in this. Abbott is signing orders to ban mandates, okay, on any level within his state. But the more nefarious one is freaking DeSantis in Florida, who is claiming credit. Oh, we've been so successful in Florida. No, you're not, because these numbers are going down. Well, you are hiding how easy it is to get access to your numbers in your state. You're doing weeklies, not dailies, because you're buying extra things. It's like, we've never had a mandate in Florida. DeSantis, there is a website that lists every county in Florida that's had a mandate, and it's every county in Florida. Like, I read them to my wife, who is from Florida, which explains a lot. And she was like, that's all the counties. Like, that's all the counties, because they all want credit for winning. And for them, the winning, that's what faced Trump. It was Trump's demise, is he could BS his way out of all of the different political issues because they're so nebulous. But in this situation with COVID, like, people were alive and now they're dead. Yeah. And the virus doesn't care if you like double down on your messaging strategy. Like, it's still a deadly virus. And if your behavior is affected by a desperate messaging strategy, which makes you more vulnerable to the virus, then more people are going to die. And you can't change that.
And we're trying. Let's go to one more from this genre. This is on Raw Story if you want the details. Father of 5 dies after texting fiance, quote, "I should have gotten the damn vaccine." And in that particular case, that individual and his wife were not against the vaccine. They weren't like hardcore aggressive anti-vaxxers. They just said they want to wait a year to see about the side effects. And he died. His 5 kids, the rest of his life ahead of him. Like, this is all we have. That's it. You get this one chance at all of this stuff, all of this possibility, and we protect our lives in a lot of different areas. It seems like it should take a lot of work and be really hard to get people to totally disarm, but it has been successful. It comes in a lot of different forms, but just get the damn vaccine if you can while there's still time. It is spreading, and Delta is gonna give way to Lambda, and God only knows what'll come after that. You've got a chance. You can go to Walgreens like right now in the United States. You can get it today. You can walk in. You don't even need an appointment. You should really do that, because I know what's not gonna, so I don't want this to happen to you, what we just saw. But I know it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna look back and say, man, I wish 6 months ago I hadn't gotten the vaccine. That's not a thing. Literally nobody is ever gonna experience that. You might even forget that you got it. You might be lucky enough to be able to forget about this whole thing. I got it months ago. Brett, you're vaccinated. We're all vaccinated. It's not bad.
Listen, I don't want to answer the question as to whether I'm vaccinated, John. How dare you?
Your HIPAA rights, but
my HIPAA. Also, there's all kinds of, like, Walgreens. Don't just go to Walgreens because you can get the vaccine. Not only do you get the vaccine, but it's summer, so that like thematic seasonal aisle has like a bunch of squirt guns. Like, you can get one of those too. Pool noodles and like weird sprinklers that look like bees. You put your hose on and you run through slips and slides.
Both
all day. Yeah, all day.
That's a great deal. Anyway, we are going to take our first break. When we come back, some right wingers are actually mad about the aftermath of January 6th, just about all the wrong things. We'll be breaking that down after this. Hello, everybody.
I
Welcome
animated.
back to,
I did song. I made music for your interchange. If it's playing, I don't hear
I
it.
appreciate that.
So I added it.
We only have 4 minutes. So anyway, I want to dedicate this show, by the way, to the birthday boy who's out in the audience right now, I believe, Jordan Yule's birthday. Oh, he can
I sing
now.
a song for his birthday, or is that out of balance too, John? Is that off limits?
I'll accept it.
Out of bounds. Became like a 4th grader. That's out of balance. He stepped on the line.
No, see, now I gave you the time for the song, but you used it up.
Happy Earth Day to you. Happy Earth Day to you. Happy Earth Day, dear. Really chill guy. Happy birthday to you. And then the Israeli version, Happy birthday to you. My friend's mom's Israeli and she would sing like that. It was awesome. Not birthday until you sing like Rochelle. John, can you please get on with it? We only got 2 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to do it. Man, that was only 1:10. It felt like, anyway. Okay, so here's
birthday dabs.
Let's go into some of the comments. And please, everybody, let Jordan know that you're happy to celebrate his birthday with him. Sean says, just got back from vacation. I took a vacation from the news also. Sad to be home, but happy to be back with the Dragon Squad. Hi, Dragon Daddy. And the man, the myth, the legend, Brett, Trash Day. I think that was him giving you a nickname, actually. Brett, Trash Day Erlich. That's cool. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon says, you know we support you all the way, right? I seriously think you would look pretty cool with a dash of the ancient color for regality. Hashtag indigo follicles, hashtag purple beard dragon daddy. I can't take any more titles. I can't. Thank you. Jackson says, it was a 4-eyed, 1 mic, bearded purple dragon daddy. What a sight to see. Can't wait to see it. Love Arbitrary Dragon. Jesus, thank you. British says, hi, John and Brett. Nice to see you back doing Friday show again. By the way, if I donate $250 to TDR or TYT, would you record a video for YouTube and TikTok? Well, we would need to know more details, but we record a lot of videos for YouTube. Do you have anything more specific? But thank you for the super chat. We'll talk. Jay, I'm not yet on what's the Cameo, but who knows? Anything can happen. If it goes directly to Sophie, does that say? Okay. Jesus. Jason says, we're running out of time. Jason says, huzzah, my favorite Friday dynamic duo. Thanks for keeping us abreast of the news in a lighthearted way. My hope is that you will all take time this weekend to unplug and relax after a week of crazy news. I will, actually. Okay, let's see. Steve Snyder said, this is a big super chat, by the way, says the Olympics were invented by a eugenicist. Nazis came up with the torch. They're horrible for the unhoused, and the girl athletes who never go through puberty because of their training quit having a hard-on for evil. They aren't magical, you child. Be better, hashtag no Olympics. So Steve, I very much appreciate the super chat, and I appreciate you adding that context to this. That said, that was aggressive against me individually. In any event, yes, much of what you are saying appears to be true, and there's more stuff besides. The effect on a lot of these cities has been really devastating. So I do think that the Olympic Committee should be reformed in a bunch of different ways. That said, I also think that there's a lot of benefit that comes from the Olympics, and I enjoy it. And there's like 4 things on the list of things that I enjoy. So I think I'm gonna watch the individual gymnastics event finals next week. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Anyway, more news coming to you after this.
Hold on it, John.
I did. Damn, super chat went hard, Pitchfork says. And it's notable that Pitchforks is the person saying that. So welcome back to the first annual Jordan Yule Memorial Damage Report show with me and Brett Erlich. We're remembering
Memorial,
damn Jordan, not looking back on it. It's like a memorial for the year. He's accomplished a lot. Anyway, okay, so with that, well, why don't we talk, no more singing. Let's talk about the news. Let's launch it.
Move on, John.
trespassing by attempting to come into this correctional facility.
People that vote on whether or not to fund you at what level, and we're trespassing.
I understand that.
My
I'll see if my
gosh, the
supervisor's
government is
available.
upside down.
Can you please go ask your supervisor?
You right now are obstructing entrance into this facility. This is the way people enter. You're obstructing our
We
entrance.
won't obstruct the entrance, but
we'll
we're
help
not
anybody.
trespassing. No, that's what we're doing. Okay, we'll clear the entrance. We'll clear the path.
Okay, so there you saw Representative Marjorie Greene and Louie Gohmert trying to get into a prison. A spokesperson from Marjorie Greene's office told The Hill they were given no explanation as to why they were turned away, which is directly contradicted by the video that we just watched. She was told directly why they were being turned away. I guess it didn't stick. In one ear, bounced around slightly, came out the other, I suppose. But anyway, a spokesperson for the DC Department of Corrections says that the trio showed up unannounced with an unauthorized camera crew requesting a facility tour. All visitors, which includes family members of residents, attorneys, and public officials, must adhere to the rules and procedures of the Department of Corrections. But that did not stop them from freaking out as a result of that. It has apparently confirmed to them everything that they believe, or at least say, is true about these political prisoners, and we'll get to more of that. But Brett, they want to be a part of this process, and Matt Gaetz is usually with them. They've chosen their battle in this area.
Their behavior is the reason they're not involved in so much. And I'm not even talking about like the generic process. I'm talking about the Republicans themselves have started to distance themselves from the horror show. They already lost one of the G's and the 4 G's. Gosar's gone. Gone is Gosar. The G's are, I want them to have a 5th G so they can be 5 G's so I could do this whole conspiracy thing that I've got that actually blames them as the deep state. But my favorite part about the G squad is freaking Louie Gohmert, because I think you played the video where Lauren Windsor kind of followed him saying like, "Are you a pedophile? Are you a pedophile?" That press conference that got shut down was the B Squad press conference. There was a real press conference with Jim Jordan and Elise Stefanik that those guys couldn't go to, and Louie Gohmert was the last one. But so for all, are we leaving? Are we going? You guys move? All right, thank you for coming. As everyone's getting pushed off. And here he is trying to just get screen time again. And I say, if they want to go to prison, let them in prison.
Yeah, they do seem
These guys
really
are gonna
eager.
walk themselves in. Just, it's fine, let them in. Lock the door once they're inside, not before they can make entry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things, like there's a lot of people in that prison, I'm sure, that shouldn't be there. The January 6th rioters do not fall into that category.
Yeah, well, no, that's definitely an area that we're gonna get into, because I think you're making a good point there. But yeah, there was a video of like Matt Gaetz like trying to pull on the doors and he couldn't get in. I was like, dude, like pump the brakes, you're gonna get there. I think he's the only one of that group, Will, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, I don't know how Gohmert has become a part of this. I didn't know that he was one of those. I like to imagine that, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Greene, who are a really weird duo, we're probably like doing a press conference and they just like glance over. They're like, yeah, Louie Gohmert. Like, I think he just appeared. I don't think they were like, we need a third. Who can we get? Let's go for the Gohmert. I don't think that's what they were doing, but who knows? There's not a lot that would probably be comfortable in a room with them.
He's not invited and it's not coordinated. He is invited. He has hired a private investigator. Gohmert is actually the Latin root of the fish, the sucker fish on the bottom of the whale. Like that's what a Gohmert is.
Yeah,
he's disgusting.
Well, look, that is true. And he had to say after that incident you just saw, we're in a totalitarian Marxist territory here. This is the way third world people get treated. I hope he's talking about the political prisoners, which we're gonna get to, because if he's talking about what they just experienced, that is not the worst stuff that is happening in any part of the world, let alone the third world. But also, what's Marxist about it? They didn't let you into a private facility. Okay, that might be inconvenient, but there's nothing like specifically about questioning the distribution of capital in that. Like you can't just use that word for everything. Like if they don't give you like, the bar is so low. The bar is so low. It's also like let's get to the.
Yeah, all the interventionist, imperialist Republicans are imprisoning tons of people without cause or reason. Like,
yeah.
As I said, like
caring about that would be great.
Yeah.
Actually caring about that. Let's turn to that. Let's turn to the actual condition with prisoners. So Marjorie Greene wants us to focus not on like the cops that are testifying, ignore that, but there are people being held before sentencing for January 6th. She wants us to focus more on them. Here she is speaking out for them.
We went to this prison today as members of Congress and to give oversight on a federal prison because we suspect there is a two-tier justice system in the United States for Trump supporters that are charged for January 6th and letting catch and release. It's basically catch and release for Antifa and BLM rioters that have rioted and destroyed cities and hurt businesses and looted and hurt police officers and federal monuments and federal buildings and police precincts. You know, we suspected that, but it was confirmed today, and it's an outrage.
That whole video, if you watch it again, Matt Gaetz just looks like a really uncomfortable, like little boy who's being forced to stand somewhere and doesn't want to be. But anyway, okay, so they're political prisoners. There's a two-tiered justice system, which is like definitely true, but not at all what she's talking about. And it's that they're too hard on Trump supporters. So Brett, couple points from that. One, she's admitting that they're Trump supporters, so that's cool. Finally, like 6 months later, she admits that they're not Antifa, because previously she'd said they were Antifa, but no way, Antifa's just getting caught and released. That never made sense. So, but wait, but which is it? Because you seem to not like that Antifa's been caught and released, but you don't want those people to be held. But you're whatabouting them. So which standard would you like to see universally applied? I'm guessing none. I'm guessing
she likes the two-tier justice system. She just wants it how it normally is. In this situation, like she's saying, but to take Candace Owens' logic, when she says you catch and release Antifa people, basically you catch and release people on the left. She's dehumanizing them and turning them into fish, and that's the first step. So Candace Owens should really come out against Marjorie Taylor Greene at this point by pescatizing and patronizing the left before the overall extermination of us. But it's just it's all that. It won't stop being that, like the two-tier justice system. Guys, they broke into the Capitol building, and also, like, which is it? Are they good guys? Are they political prisoners because they were protesting? Or should Nancy Pelosi, like, if Nancy Pelosi needed heightened security measures against these people, and it's her fault for not having them? If that's the case, like, well, then they should be in prison because they were a security threat.
Now, give us, like, it used to be there's a face on Mars. Okay, so let's grapple with this one conspiracy theory. There's a face on Mars. Now it's like every single conspiracy theory has its dark mirror, and you have to fight both because they believe both. You're 100% right. She wants Nancy Pelosi locked up for leaving the Capitol open to attack by the people that she doesn't think did anything wrong and should be released. It doesn't make any sense. But there's one last little bit of fun if you find the fact that we have a representative who is hardcore racist fun. So she says, joining my colleagues Gohmert, Gosar, and Gaetz seeking answers and asking questions at the deplorable jail in DC. What, the deplorable jail? You're coming up with that, but you are insulting them by saying it. Anyway, she wants more visitation hours, access to religious texts. She also throws in access to exercise, which I think is just trying to, she's worried she's gonna end up there and she wants to make sure there's CrossFit equipment. I think that's all that is. And by the way, if she or Gohmert or Gaetz were actually interested in the condition of American prisons, the fact that people are held for so long without bail before totally non-violent charges, all of that would be a great way for her to advance this political agenda of hers while also potentially doing some good. But she's not interested in that. These are literally the only prisoners that she actually cares about. And she throws in at the end, illegal aliens are treated better in detention facilities than the J6 accused. It's outrageous. But wait, they're being held for attacking a building, beating cops, nearly killing people. The illegal aliens they're just being held. Like, you get that they're not in there for murder generally. They crossed the border. That's not the same as killing a person. This is all that is a racial thing. They would dare treat these illegal aliens better than good white conservatives, despite the fact that the white conservatives were violent and the illegal aliens weren't.
Dude, there's I forget who it is. I think it might be Abbott, who is signing orders to basically quarantine any people from out of the country who are coming to this country who might pose a threat. So he's putting essentially like more than a mask mandate. And when I say pose a threat of COVID, he's doing more than a mask mandate for people in Texas who might be passing COVID around, but he refuses to do anything on a state level for non-brown people in Texas who might be spreading COVID around. It's just not consistent. And that's what she wants. She wants the two-tier justice system. She wants her political prisoners, who are also folks who are dangerous threats that Nancy Pelosi is responsible for not addressing. But she wants those folks to have access to the, Danish style prison complex that she would hate if you explain to her what a Danish style prison complex does and means. She just wants it for her people. That is the two-tier justice system that she advocates for. It's frustrating.
100%. You're right. Okay, we're blowing through this hour. Okay, so we're gonna take another break. When we come back, a little bit more on January 6th. Trump apparently had some thoughts about the cops whose testimony we showed you earlier. And then we've got a video of police brutality that I'm gonna give you a warning right before we play it, but an early heads up, it's really rough. And so we'll be getting to all of that after this break. Okay, everybody, let's see what's going on out there. First of all, thank you to the new members on YouTube, Ethan Flaherty and Siberio Kavanik. Thank you for becoming tier 1 members, getting access to the badge and emojis and all that. Thank you. A little bit of an update, a fact check on the aggressive super chat from the first break. And I don't know, I think I was so struck by how aggressive it was that I missed a fairly obvious point, which Aaron Talks Culture points out on YouTube, saying the Olympics were invented roughly 2,800 years ago in Greece. Modern versions of the Olympics go back to the 17th century. The Nazis and eugenicists did not invent the Olympics, which is obviously true, like Greco-Roman wrestling and all that. That said, it doesn't mean that there's nothing bad. And some of the points that were made in that super chat are totally true about the effect on the unhoused, the effect on some athletes, creating a system. The Olympics weren't necessarily necessary for someone like Larry Nassar to be protected that way. It's entirely possible that just US, competitions be enough for them to do it. But yes, clearly there are things that need to be made better. But I also think it does have some positive effects. I mean, you can just take a look at the effect of Suni Lee winning the women's all around. Like, that is an objectively motivating and inspiring thing for millions and millions of people. So there are good things there too. And just seeing there was a Brazilian woman who got a medal for the first time in the individual all around ever. That's amazing. I love that. That said, some of your points were good. So anyway, let's see. Franklin Sharpslicer says, I have rock upon my windowsill. If they won't hear me, maybe it will. Sometimes it's easier, you see, to try nailing jello to a tree. I don't want anyone to die, but if they insist, all I can say is bye. Hail, Purple Dragon Daddy. I think that might be about Gaetz and Greene and all that, but it was beautiful anyway, Franklin, so thank you.
So there, just on the Olympics fact, there was the Olympics back in the day, and then it was relaunched, and there was a focus on the ideal form and the ideal thing.
Sure.
Overlaps with eugenics, but
nuance.
Listen.
Yes.
Listen, John.
I'm listening.
To your heart is what I mean.
I would prefer to listen to you.
That's a mistake. It always has been.
Above all else, I'd prefer to do more super chats, but go on.
I'm just saying, John.
Okay,
just saying.
Anyway, so let's see. Ryan Nowicki says you get a reserved copy of the new gaming hardware Steam Deck. Rumors based on other patents had it will pair with a VR headset in the future. I have not. That would be awesome. I would love one, but no, I have not. Siberio says, oh my God. I wouldn't normally read this, but Brett's the co-host. So what kind of white is Brett? Because I'm trying to add some vanilla to my coffee.
It's awesome. What kind of white is Brett? It's a mix of 50% Ashkenazi.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much 50% Ashkenazi, and then freaking dude, let's just go crazy. I'm you got some. I guess get some Swedish, you got some English, some Irish, some Scottish in there. You know what I mean?
I know, I like it.
Got some Scando, like William the Conqueror, so to speak. I'm like
basically
some Scando-Saxon.
In all the ways that matter, William the Conqueror, basically. Yeah. British says, update John. I was going to add, record a video of you dyeing your hair purple. Oh, I see. We'll see. I mean, my wife is probably gonna have to be the one to do it. So I don't know about the mechanics of that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how much I'll suffer. Anyway, Bridget Johnson says, AKA Lara Bloomer, wishing Jordan happy birthday and John celebratory purple locks. Thank you. Happy birthday, Jordan. Anyway, more news coming up after this. Brooke and Twitch says it's called a tripod. Shut up, I know. Anyway,
what's called a tripod?
Okay. The mechanics necessary to film it while another person is doing it. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to a little bit of news because we still got a lot to get to with what remains of the show. Throughout this week, we've been seeing video of the Capitol Police testifying about the attacks and racial slurs that they faced on the 6th when Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. And apparently in the wake of that, Trump has had some thoughts, a few of which we can actually say, some we can't on TV. But in private discussions this summer, Donald Trump has told some people close to him that several of these officers strike him as weak and as pansies, but he didn't say pansies. We can't actually say what he said, but that's what he said about cops who we only knew about because of the horrific violence that they faced at the hands of his supporters. He also maintained that these men seem broken by the events of January 6th and that they do not have the supposed toughness or character of the law enforcement officers who, on the whole nationally, still widely support Trump and his policies. Well, that is one potential difference between those cops and the others. Another might be that those cops haven't yet been beaten by a Trump supporting mob. If they ever oppose him in any way, it is entirely possible that the MAGA heads will want their blood too, and maybe then they will turn on Trump. But for now, they haven't been beaten with Trump flags. So yes, an important difference. But Brett, Trump doesn't think they're tough enough. Obviously, he's basically Donkey Kong in his alphaness. So I guess it is up to him to determine who's tough.
This guy was near an eagle that flapped its wings too fast. And he flinched. This is a guy who said, let's go down to the Capitol building and we'll be very nice, but attack them essentially. And then didn't even go with them.
Didn't go.
This is Bone Spurs McGinty.
Yep.
This is a guy whose biggest adversity is like Scottish Rough at his resort in Scotland, Turnberry. Like this guy, there's one photo of him, like the biggest physical feat of his career is climbing out of a sand trap. That's him.
Hey, that's not fair. He's faced adversity. I heard that sometimes the button that gets him a Diet Coke sticks. You gotta hit it. You got it 1, 2, 3. You gotta hit it a few times before you get your Diet Coke.
The most challenging thing in his life is getting his wife to hold his hand.
That's basically thumb wrestling, buddy.
Rivaled only by toilet paper stuck to his foot. And he couldn't even overcome the obstacle of an open umbrella preventing him from getting into his own plane. Adversity. They're P words.
So he took 2 hands to drink. Like, and that's fine. That's fine. If you struggle in all the ways that he clearly struggles, there's nothing wrong with that. That's almost an inevitability. It's gonna hit me earlier than it hit Trump. But then you need to not cast stones, as they say, about cops not being tough enough. And it's perfect. Like the whole idea of being an alpha is such a he is the Wizard of Oz of alphas, and most Republicans are. That what those cops are known for is persevering through incredible violence that could have taken their lives and still trying to do their jobs. And when we say that, It is not saying that everything cops do is awesome, everything that the cops at the Capitol did is awesome, or anything like that. But we can see the video of them, and it is clearly very difficult. But they were still doing it despite being attacked by dozens and dozens and dozens of people. So that's not acceptable to the right. You have to attack them on their strength, which is the fact that they persevered, by implying that they're the ones who are pansies or whatever. Whereas Donald Trump, a guy who for the past 50 years has hidden from exercise with his philosophy that the body is a battery that gets drained, he gets to be the tough one or whatever. It is just like, of all of the scams, of all of the cons, maybe the financial ones hurt more on the right, but the most impressive has been the idea that any of these guys are tough in literally any way. That Trump or Shapiro or Kirk or Tucker or any of these guys are tough in any of the BS toxic ways they imply that men should be.
I can't. I hate it all. I hate it all. Trump is afraid of paying his bills. He's afraid of actual human beings. He can't bring himself to surround him with anyone that is not someone like there's a rich like person like him. They don't even like him. It's so sad. It's so sad, and it's so transparent too. And that's it. People don't, and that's what you were identifying earlier. It's folks have this feeling that they're on the same side. And that feeling is what binds them. And that vitriol toward the other is what binds them. And someone has convinced them that this is the circle around their ideals. But those ideals wildly conflict. But that the winning the argument is not the destination. Living the life they want with the mindset that they want. The opiate of the masses is religion, typically, but it also is just any theology or ethos that makes you feel high off it. And this is really working for them. And it ties into this last point I'll make, which is, there is a development of what is successful in politics, and it's tied toward mastery of the prevalent medium. And the first thing that you're taught about this is there was the first real televised debates between Kennedy and Nixon, and Nixon had 5 o'clock shadow, and he wasn't as pretty, and he was sweating. And people were like, I like Kennedy because he does well on TV. And now the dominant medium is what's left of TV in politics anyway, Fox, which is being an a-hole loudly and aggressively. And then on the other hand, it's the internet. So Trump is a mix of what does well on Fox and what does well on the internet, which is unhinged, polemic vitriol. And that's what we have to live with and come up with a better strategy then.
Yeah, I agree. He's not the only one doing it, but yeah. Okay, yes, we're gonna do we're gonna move on to that in just, really fast. When Fauci got to throw a ball at a baseball game, he lied that he'd been invited to do it. When Greta Thunberg got the cover of Time, he viciously attacked her because he was so jealous of this 16-year-old girl. Alpha.
Alpha was in a basement.
That's what alphas are. Yeah, he was in a basement, and then he got really mad when they pointed out. It would be embarrassed. Anyway, okay, well with that's enough about the alphas. Let's move on to this. We are gonna be jumping right into a video, but you should know that it is incredibly graphic in nature, so consider yourself warned.
I can't breathe, dude. Hands all the way out in front of you. Okay. Straight out in front of you. Okay. Dude, you have a gun pointed straight at your head.
I don't have a gun. Why am I going in cuffs?
Stop.
Why am I going in cuffs?
You have a warrant.
No, I don't. I don't have a gun.
Stop fighting.
Bro, I don't have no warrant. You guys have the wrong guy. I don't have a warrant, bro.
Stop fighting.
Have a warrant.
Stop fighting.
Help, help, help. I don't have a warrant, bro. Bro, I don't have no warrant, bro.
Get on your face.
Bro, I don't.
Get on your face.
I don't have a warrant, dude.
Get on your face.
Okay.
Get on your face now.
Okay, bro.
Get on your face.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Get on your face.
You're killing me.
So what you saw in that video was 2 police officers from the Aurora Police Department in Colorado. They have since been arrested after this video has come out showing one police officer beating someone who is restrained brutally about his head and face as he pleads for his life. The other cop, of course, was doing nothing to stop it. The one doing the attacking that you don't see in the video is, you can see him in this picture here. This is Aurora police officer John Iadarola, arrested on charges of attempted first-degree assault, second-degree assault, felony menacing, official oppression, and first-degree official misconduct. It's a 3-year veteran of the Aurora Police Department that's been put on administrative leave without pay pending an expected internal affairs investigation. The other officer, Francine Martinez, is a 6-year veteran, arrested on misdemeanor charges of failing to intervene and report use of force by a police officer. She's on administrative leave with pay. Both officers have bonded out of jail. And there's gonna be an investigation and blah, blah, blah. The cops are so surprised by what they're seeing there. That is, look, we've seen a billion videos like this, Brett. Obviously, that was incredibly difficult to watch. You can see more of it. It's worse, like after this, it's still really bad. The process of them getting him onto his back, they came, like that guy did not just snap in the video you saw. He came in ready for violence. Like, anyway, what are your thoughts?
Before that, I would say is just as bad. It's 3 guys in a parking lot having a day, a nice day. The police approach them. The 2 other guys ran. This is the guy who stayed like this. He had his hands up. And the reason he stayed is he's like, I don't have a warrant. I don't know what you're talking about. And immediately there's a gun in his face. So he's trying not to move. There's one point where he just instinctively puts his hand up because he thinks he's gonna get shot in the face. And I thought that's when he was gonna get shot in the face. He's on his stomach and the police says, you have a gun. And he continues to say, you have a gun at the back, pointed at your head. And the guy just hears, you have a gun. And he's like, I don't have a gun. I don't know what to do.
He didn't understand anything that was happening.
Right, because it happened, escalated so quickly. And this guy was arrested before for malicious, aggravated, like for a crime very similar to this in nature. And while it wasn't prosecuted, he didn't go to jail for it. He ended up like getting this job as a police officer despite something that should probably have been flagged if there were any standards at all. But this is Aurora, Colorado, home of Elijah McClain and a bunch of other places.
And God only knows in the end what's gonna end up happening with this cop. Like a rational person watches that video and thinks this guy can never hold a gun in his life. He can never be in a position where he has power over life and death. I don't need to see more. You don't get to make a mistake this bad. And it's just so common. We see it all the time. I watch something like that and I just hate this whole thing. Anyway, we got more coming up. We're gonna take a short break, but there's more news after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's still me, and it's still Brett, and it's still weird. Anyway, thank you for being here, everybody. I wish we'd had more time for that story. I know that we both had a lot more to say, but unfortunately we ran up against the end. Yeah, watching it this morning, I really did just think like, I know you can't. I don't want to be a part of any of this anymore. As I was watching a guy who knows he's been given a position of respect and authority. He knows he's being filmed. He is beating a person who doesn't deserve any of it. Like he's obviously eager to kill this person. And I just thought, I just want to go into the woods. I don't want to be a part of this experiment anymore. Like we have some great people, but we're so bad. We're so bad. Anyway,
who was
Ethan
it that said I'll go into the woods? Tim Pool. I'll go into the woods. You and Tim Pool in the woods. Now there's a reality show.
You can add that to the list of things that I don't know about Tim Pool.
Oh, someone was like, so what? Someone on his show challenged him and was like, well, you can't like escape all of it. Like people are, there's like actual stuff out there that's bad. And he's like, yeah, you can. You go in the woods. I'd go in the woods. Good luck, buddy. Tim Pool on Naked and Afraid. His one survival item is his knit cap.
It would be exactly that episode of The Office, but less charming. Anyway,
I want to talk about something charming.
Cutting up the little head thing to like make little binding stuff.
You lose most of your heat out of your head. So I'm gonna cut this and do earmuffs and.
Okay, so let's read a few of these. Let's see. Forbesilla says, purple hair and glitter beard. I believe in you, John. I'm proud of Switch to Twitch just to gift them subs. Thank you, Forbesilla. It's very nice of you.
John.
Chad, thank you. What?
Hottie meter. Can we talk about it?
Yes. What would you like to say?
Hottie meter gifted 100 tier 1 subs, which I can't fathom. I can't fathom that.
No, I can't either. No, that's why I led the show with it, saying that.
This was 18 minutes ago. Wait, an additional 100 tier 1 subs. What are you looking at during the show, John? You gotta yoink it.
I thought you meant from yesterday.
No, I mean 18 minutes ago, Hottie Meter gifted 100 tier 1 subs, which were enjoyed by such people as Alien HD, Galaxerna, Chloe the Confectioner, etc. and etc. Just everyone who got a tier 1 sub, put it in your calendar and pay it forward next month. Today was the day, the 30th.
It was
Jordan's birthday.
100 yesterday. It's probably in honor of Jordan, I have to imagine. And I think really it's only fair since now Jordan is being lumped in. He should probably dye his hair too. Anyway, thank you, Hottie Meter, for 300 subs. That is crazy. We've got some really, really generous, awesome, welcoming people in the community.
So how are you gonna dye when are you gonna dye your hair and how? What date?
Over the weekend, probably. But we'll see. I don't want people to know for sure. But anyway, I gotta read some of these. Lazy Peon, thank you for your super chat. Moondragon says, Brett, call them 3G because they have no signal. See, that's not bad. I like that. Okay, Goblin Dragon says, this is why everyone should be taught Umberto Eco's 14 points of fascism. Not bad, I like it. Steve Snyder says, sorry I was hostile. Oh, so this is the person who wrote the earlier super chat. Says, sorry I was hostile. I got hot this morning when I found out the IOC made Simone go off her ADHD medication. Lobby for gymnastics to be on TV year round. Don't be a Shapiro and ignore the evil just so you get what you like. Again, aggressive, but I understand. This is one of the sports with the worst pervasive abuse. And by the way, it is like there are events that happen year round, of course. The vast majority of people don't pay attention to them, which I totally understand. But we agree on many things, and thank you for your super chats. Okay, with that, we have several stories to get to before we can throw the garbage away. Oh, but before we do that, no, Sophie, you want me to do this. So a few things that are coming up right after the show is going to be Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, available at youtube.com/indisputable-TYT. Today, Farron Cousins is gonna be coming on as a co-host. That's exciting. I believe a whole bunch of firsts. Dan Evans was on yesterday. How awesome is that? So that's fun. This Saturday, in fact, just tomorrow, Nina Turner's rally, the Get Out the Vote rally for Nina Turner, will be live at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. Cenk Uygur will be live on 2RT.com/live, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, getting out the vote for Nina Turner, whose election is coming up in just a few more days. Next Tuesday, August 3rd, Cenk, Anna Kasparian, and Dr. Rashad Ritchie will be doing live coverage of the primary election for Ohio's 11th Congressional District. You can watch at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So it's right after the main show next Tuesday. Obviously very exciting, huge stakes there, millions of dollars pouring in. It matters who's in elected office, despite what people might tell you. So anyway, and then also later on today, Cenk and Maz Jobrani will be joining me for the first hour of the Power Panel, and J.R. Jackson, Cenk, and I believe for the first time on a Power Panel, Twitch pitch winner Ravana will be joining on hour 2 as well. So very exciting. That is the first time, right, Brett?
That is the first time. It will also be on the bonus episode. Also on this show next Thursday, from what I understand.
Exactly. It is true.
Because I slip into your whatever it is, your booking document, just to make sure everything's fine. And then the week after that,
next week.
And if you like Ben, and if you're like, who is this guy? Just stay tuned after Indisputable, because Galaxy Brain is today with Ben Carollo after Indisputable. So that leads you right up to TYT's main show. Game on. And then after that, join us for Common Room, everybody. Common Room tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's not only Jordan Ewell's birthday. It's also Brooke Marx's birthday.
It is?
Yeah, it's Brooke Marx's birthday, John.
I know, yes,
so just know that.
The distinction you're making.
I'm Brett Marx, according to Jordan. And Brooke Marx, it's her birthday, so there you go.
Yes. Anyway, okay, I cannot believe that I'm gonna do this, but I do wanna read one more comment. Mini Morpho says on Twitch, there are some nice temporary chalk dyes that don't require bleaching your natural hair. No, people are not gonna accept that.
Do you know what aisle that is? You know what section that is in the cosmetics store? The quitters aisle. You go turn left to the quitters aisle.
Oh my God, I can't do the Karen. Is there an official recipe for a Karantini, by the way? We need to figure that out. Okay, so anyway, we are gonna jump into, I'm gonna say one story before garbage people, probably. That's probably all we're gonna get to. In fact, let's just talk for a minute and then do garbage people. Anyway, let's jump. Okay, let's do. This is me last night when NBC did 3 of the 4 apparatuses in gymnastics and then went to like an hour and a half of swimming before finishing it. Are you effing kidding me, NBC? What the hell? Anyway, with that, let's talk about this. LA is gonna have a slightly different approach to the unhoused. The city council voted 13-2 to approve a new ordinance that the mayor, Eric Garcetti, who Anna Kasparian is a huge fan of, has now signed. So it makes it unlawful for people to sit, lie, sleep, or otherwise situate their belongings in the public right of way, a law that will almost exclusively disenfranchise the unhoused population of LA. I mean, that's itself, I think, a bit of that's what it's for. That's the only thing that it's going to do. For context, the 2020 greater LA homeless count recorded 66,433 people living on the streets of LA County, a 12.1% increase from the previous year. And I'm just gonna guess that 2020 to 2021, which is a slightly hard year, probably has raised those numbers as well. So this ordinance is going to be targeting the, let's say 70,000 people who are unhoused in the area. And it restricts sitting, lying, or sleeping, or storing, using, maintaining, or placing personal property in the public right of way. The measure makes it illegal to sit, lie, sleep, or set up encampments within 500 feet from sensitive use properties such as schools, parks, and libraries, and other areas such as overpasses, underpasses, freeway ramps, tunnels, bridges, pedestrian bridges, subways, washes, spreading grounds. I don't know what half of these things are, or active railways. So basically, LA, you can't within LA. And so we're gonna have some more details on how this is gonna work, sort of. But I guess it wasn't a foregone conclusion, Brett, that Garcetti was going to sign it, but he has, and so it looks like it is going to happen.
Well, this makes it a lot easier to ignore the problem. So that if that's what you want, like that, it actually is very helpful. You know what I mean? Like, because otherwise you have to address problems. You know, if you have a problem, people say the hardest part is acknowledging you have it. They've done that. They've acknowledged they have it. But rather than, as a mayor, leading the charge is that we can see them. And I need to make it so that's not the case. So it's not a problem for the people that I actually care about. That's the issue. And I understand like there's certain issues like people, but at that point, really that's the only thing that's ringing very clear to me, which is they just want to get rid of it because the people who are on the city council, they all hear complaints from people who are active in complaining at city council meetings, who are not representative of the people who have it hardest. But you wouldn't notice that by the way that they complain about seeing homeless people.
Yeah, making that out to be the more difficult part of the bargain. Yeah, 100% right. And look, your overall point about how just sort of pretending that it's not a problem that needs to be fixed is, that's bad in a lot of different ways. So it's bad, I would argue morally. It's also sort of bad pragmatically because this isn't a solution. You can criminalize all this stuff effectively. Like, I guess you're probably not allowed to just make it a crime to not have a house. But it seems like that's what this is designed to do. But there's 70,000 people who don't have a house. So what are you gonna do? Is the idea we're just going to lock them all up? Is the idea that, well, I guess we can't lock them up, but we can hassle them so much that we can just get them out of the county? Because this seems like it's just a solution to that. Now, they obviously, they're a little bit more savvy about this, and I'm sure there's probably a few people involved in this process that care about the problem too. It's a separate thing than voting for this, but they say that enforcement would be accompanied by the arrival of street engagement teams, social workers, mental health specialists, and others who would offer the unhoused shelter and services. Under the ordinance, those who violate those rules could receive citations. Once an area is cleared, outreach workers would return over a period of 3 months to see if homeless people return. If they have, additional outreach would be conducted to promote voluntary compliance, which is fun. So we're making it illegal, but we're also gonna have social workers which go out. I mean, you could just do that. You could just do that and not lock up people for not having the resources for a house. And it's not like there already aren't. It's not like, oh, this is the dawn of a new age. Now there will be enforcement against the homeless, and like that is already a thing.
Well, there's a theme. There's an actual real theme in this. This is kind of in it, and I've mentioned it a lot. Like there needs to be consequences for a lot of stuff. Like there needs to be the consequence, or else people will just be like, so there's no consequence for me continuing to do this. And I'm not talking specifically about homelessness. People will continue to do that. But I agree with you 100%. Like folks going out there and saying, let's get you to the services. I completely agree with. What I need to see is the follow-up data to see if this, is this a great experiment? The benefit of the doubt interpretation of this is it's an experiment for that exact scenario. Does having the negative consequence of a citation make any sense? Are they gonna pay it if the reason that they're out on the street is because they haven't been able to pay other things people have billed them for? That's 100%. Reinforced by the fact that there's an uptick in homelessness as a result of the economic shutdown. It's not that they closed and defunded some kind of housing facility. There's just more people that need to be in a housing facility or have some kind of safety net to catch them on the way down. Like I'm separating these issues into like what we're really doing. So afterwards, they need to double back and tell me that this worked. And if it didn't, what's the timeline on your experiment working out or not?
And I would love to see some stats in a year or in 2 years. I would also love a qualitative analysis, talking to unhoused people about their experience with this new system. Maybe that'll be a part of it. We'll see. Anyway, okay, so we are rapidly running out of time. We're probably, we fit in one before garbage people. So if we get ready to launch into that, that's gonna happen. I really wanted this F block conversation, but maybe we can somehow fit it into the main show. No, there's no time. There isn't time for garbage people.
Let's do that. Let's move it into the main show.
So, okay, so are we ready to do this? With Brett going first, as always. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. Okay, it's time to pick our garbage people of the week. Brett Erlich, who is yours?
My garbage person of the week is the guy who put up this sign that said he runs a restaurant in Huntington Beach, California, and he put up a sign saying that he will only allow you to enter his restaurant if you have proof that you've been unvaccinated. Proof of being unvaccinated required.
How would that work exactly?
Well, maybe he'll answer it in the interview that he had with Chris Cuomo, of which we have a clip. So why don't we watch that and see if he explains himself?
You really don't want people to not get vaccinated so they can come to your restaurant?
That's a good question. You're a smart guy. It's an IQ test. And like I say to people when they ask me, if they're so blinded with their rage and their hate, I tell them, you know what, if you still don't understand it, maybe we should put up a sign up that says you're too stupid to come into the restaurant. I mean, it's very simple. Just like you said, I think you figured it out. Am I right?
I don't even know what you're saying right now. Tell me, so what's the deal?
I'm saying we're making a point.
And so
you answered the question.
So you haven't been vaccinated, nobody in your family's been vaccinated?
If I answer that, are you going to answer that when I ask you?
Yeah, sure. Ask me whatever you want. Now answer my question.
I'm not vaccinated. Are you?
I am. How about your parents, your wife, your kids?
You were hesitant.
No, I got vaccinated.
I'm gonna ask you the same. I'm gonna ask you the same thing. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Is your family vaccinated?
Yes.
See, what you're not getting, you're failing the IQ test. What you're not getting, which I expected. What you're not getting is that this is not an anti-vaccine stand. It's a pro-freedom stand. That's what you're not getting.
Buddy, how's it a pro-freedom stand if you're not allowing people who chose to get vaccinated to come into your restaurant? It's that. It's someone who it's Ben Shapiro going, no one tried to ban crime. Did you share this with anyone before you made it wildly public? It's
Tony
an
Roman.
test.
He doesn't need other people to support him. He stands on his own. He's not gonna check with others to see if he's about to look like a bonehead.
We need to show it because look at his shirt. And is he even smart enough to put the right button in the right buttonhole? Because it seems like he messed that up. One side is wildly higher than the other side.
True. That's happened to me.
Buddy,
that was okay. So can I give and take away credit from Chris Cuomo there? So that was a very funny performance. That said, why is he on your show? Come on, why is he on your show? What? Oh, we're shocked to find out that Tony Roman, the I don't want you to be vaccinated guy, is being weird and unproductive. And again, you can't prove that you're unvaccinated. That's not. It doesn't even make any sense. What are they showing? What are they showing? Are they dragging in their ventilator or something? How are they proving that?
I feel like it's an overall aura.
Yeah.
Where they're
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Well, how many months until Tony Roman has COVID?
Who's to say he hasn't already?
Yeah, that's a
but yes, this for people who are Los Angeles is a place of progressives who figure it out. This is Huntington Beach.
Yep.
This is where Ryan went to live in the OC. This is the OC. This is
okay.
What?
So
are you mad at me? So did I get it wrong? Sophie is Newport. That's
You're
Newport.
Getting your lore wrong.
Listen, as a North Angelino, Sophie,
Brett.
Listen, we are the fancy hat atop the smug undercarriage that is the Orange County. It's just it's a soupy rich undercarriage of what's his name? Who's the guy that Comp in a Jar ran against? All right, go for it. All right, do it. Do your shit. Do your shit.
For my garbage person. Anyway, okay, let's do my thing.
Double standard.
My garbage person of the week is someone who is working overtime in 4 different ways to earn the spot. It is going to be Kirsten Sinema. And it's not because she's generating all of this, like bring up the screenshot. It's not that we're like finding out more and more about how she's like working with Mitch and he's like getting Republicans to boost her so she never has to do anything for the Democrats. It's not even really that a couple days ago she said, I have also made clear that while I will support beginning this process, I do not support a bill that costs $3.5 trillion on the reconciliation bill for infrastructure, although that's bad enough. It's that on top of all of that, she's also like super lazy and annoying about the whole thing. So according to the Political Playbook, when Chuck Schumer announced earlier this month that he might keep the Senate in session until August, delaying a previously scheduled recess in order to shepherd the two gigantic bills through the chamber, Sinema told the majority leader that she was not sticking around to vote. She had prior vacation plans, she said, and wasn't about to let the infrastructure or reconciliation bills get in the way. So it's not just that she does a bad job, it's that she refuses to even do the bad job. And as was pointed out on Twitter by Ida Chavez, she really does find a lot of reasons to not have to work. So previously she missed votes on judges so that she could go to New Zealand for an Ironman race. She talked about how important the January 6th commission vote was gonna be and then just didn't go to it. And we only found out recently that last summer, she took a couple weeks off from being a United States Senator to do an internship for 2 weeks at the Three Sticks Winery in Sonoma. While there, she did everything the other interns did: grape sampling, sorting fruit, cleaning equipment, getting the wine cellar ready to receive newly picked grapes. And for it, she received pay of $1,170.40. Her winery work didn't surface publicly because of course she was hiding it until Business Insider reported about a federal financial disclosure that she put out, revealing the paid internship. Messages left this week to Sinema's office in Washington and Phoenix to learn about why she sought the summer work were not returned. But I think I know why. It's because she doesn't give a damn about any of this stuff and she'd rather go and do Ironmans and pick grapes and all that stuff. She's not even doing these things in Arizona. She's not even ditching to be in her state. She's ditching to go everywhere. And she can't even make time to, I don't know, like pass a bill. Like they did the COVID bill and there's two other things that they're talking about. She doesn't want to do either of those. Like she considers herself done. She worked harder in Sonoma than she is in DC. Brett?
It's a shame what she's done to the Southwest. It's one of my favorite regions. She's the worst. That was like two office references at once. But yeah, she's the worst. She so smugly is terrible. Yeah. She isn't doing her job for which she's getting paid. Now, usually it's the people on the right who complain about government waste and people becoming fat cats on the taxpayer dollar, but they're not going to complain about that because she's theoretically on our side. Not to mention how much she masqueraded as a progressive to get elected, only to immediately turn her back on everything that the movement stands for. She is total garbage, John.
100%. And God, I hope that she has a vigorous primary against her, and I hope that she is taken out. Anyway, Brett, as always, thanks for the vast majority of all of that. Appreciate you being here. Oh yes, we do have to get to the community garbage source of the week. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, so 11,000 of you voted, and here is number 5. 3% of the vote goes to DaBaby for his horrific homophobic comment. Really, that only got 3% of the vote? Okay, number 4 with 6% of the vote is Piers Morgan for his hypocritical attacks on Simone Biles. No, that should have been number 1. Number 3 with 8% of the vote is Nancy Pelosi for her comments on canceling student debt. That's so bad though. Number 2 with 23% of the vote is Kevin McCarthy for trying to sabotage the January 6th commission. But far and away your winner and community garbage person of the week with 59% of the vote, Laura Ingraham for mocking officers testifying to Congress. I will never be able to predict what's going to end up winning, even an overwhelming vote. But yeah, that was pretty garbagey. So, but anyway, with that, Brett, thank you for being here. Everyone should definitely check out Common Room later on and the billion other shows between now and then that we've told you about. But we are out of time in just a few minutes. We're going to have Dr. Rashad Ritchie. For now, though, Brett, thank you. I will talk to you soon about the main show.
Mwah. Bye.
Weirdo. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you everybody for watching throughout the week. Thank you for supporting the channel through gift subs so much. We will see what happens next week out of that. And we might, by the way, have a special surprise aside from what you're thinking. We're working on something. So anyway, that's coming up soon. But until then, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there.
Purple hair. I got a purple hair.
We got a whole lot on the agenda. Yep, it's Friday. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking down news of the day. We got the big homie Farron Cousins, host of Ring of Fire. That is going to be remarkable. We have a great debate guest as well. You don't want to miss that. We're going to break down guns, and more guns. Some people have a problem with being against printing guns. Printing guns. Literally hitting a print option and making a gun. I don't think that's a good idea. Some people do. We'll debate it. Ladies and gentlemen, my top story. A Texas woman, a white female, decided to murder a black homeless woman according to the charges. This Texas woman claims that a black homeless woman came at her before shooting. Now she's facing murder charges, thanks to eyewitnesses that said, that's not what happened. So a Texas woman has been arrested and charged with murder in connection to a fatal shooting of a homeless woman outside of a grocery store last week. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez shared a post to Twitter on Monday, July 26, revealing that 34-year-old Kristen Feasis, that's her name, Christine Feasis, excuse me, was in custody after admitting to shooting a 36-year-old black woman, DeAndrea Citizen, on Sunday, July 25th, in the parking lot of a Food Town grocery store. I want us to see a picture of the alleged killer and the woman she is accused of killing. Okay, we may have a technical issue. Trying to get that picture up, we'll get it up in just a moment. Initially, this is according to the narrative. Initially, the killer, the alleged killer, told authorities that she was walking her dog when she was attacked or aggressively approached by citizen. The woman, who was white, said that's when she opened fire, shooting the victim at least once. Do we have her picture? That's her. According to court documents obtained by the Houston Chronicle, following the slaying, this killer decided to go home to her apartment, which was located behind the business, after stashing away her firearm and changing her clothes. She phoned authorities to notify them of her involvement. Now, when she notified authorities, ladies and gentlemen, she said this woman attacked her, aggressively approached her. She basically had no choice but to shoot and to kill this homeless woman. Eyewitnesses told a different story, and they also highlighted that the woman, who's dead now, suffered from mental illness as well. Let me do it the right way, okay? This is not just about someone disregarding human life. This is also about the system, the criminal justice system disregarding that human life as well. I'm going to show you how. Put up a picture of DeAndrea, the young lady who was killed. DeAndrea is a human being. She did not deserve to die. She did not deserve to get murdered. She's a human being. There's more to this story. However, investigators say that according to a nearby surveillance video and multiple witnesses who identified Feasis as the shooter, the woman was actually walking her dog when she spotted Citizen sitting on a curb, talking to herself, and then shot her. One man claimed to witness the incident, said he tried to perform CPR on the victim, but emergency medical services pronounced her dead at the scene. Now, remember when I told you this is about the system as well, failing this black female? The killer, who has been arrested and charged with murder, received a freaking bond and made the bond. So Feasis however you pronounce this woman's name, was released on a
One.
Okay, welcome back. Sometimes this happens when you're spitting too much damn truth. So let me start where I left off. The black female who was homeless and also suffered a mental health condition, according to witnesses, who did not provoke anything, any violence toward this white female. She was killed. She was killed. The white female received a bond after she fled the scene, stashed away her weapon, changed her clothes, and called the police and lied to the police about what happened. The reason why she was arrested for murder is because eyewitnesses and the surveillance video betrayed her. Put up the picture of this killer one more time. That's her. She was released, ladies and gentlemen, on a $75,000 bond. I want to remind you what that means. You go through a bonding company, that's about $7,000, $8,000. Okay? She's accused of killing a whole human being. Fled the scene, got rid of the evidence, lied to the police, gets arrested for murder and released to that bond. When she was in front of the judge, her public defender argued that there should be no house arrest, no curfew. This was unsuccessfully opposed, by the prosecutors. The prosecutor said, you gotta have some restrictions here, Judge. This woman is still locked up for murder. She already has proven she doesn't want to face responsibility, willing to lie to the police. Not a condition of her bond. Not a condition of her bond. Put up the picture of the young woman she's accused of killing again, please. That's a real person, a human being. You mean to tell me that you can walk up to another human being at a grocery store, murder them, leave the scene, get rid of evidence, lie to the police, and still get out of jail the next day without any restrictions? I guarantee you this, ladies and gentlemen, if this would have been a black male who was at the grocery store and walked up to a white female, killed her in cold blood, went to his home, got rid of the evidence, lied to the police, and had surveillance footage that proved what he did, do you think he would have received a bond the next day? No restrictions, no curfew? Farron Cousins, thank you, brother. You cover a lot of these stories, man, on a regular basis. What are your thoughts about this?
Building on what you were just saying, I don't think if it was that situation that had it been a black man doing this to a white woman, I don't even know that he would have made it to the police station alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd be looking at a much different situation there. But I mean, I have questions about this story too, and I think the prosecutors need to get to this when they start the actual prosecution of this case. Why'd the woman leave the home with a gun on her in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, you don't walk out of your house armed unless you think there's a possibility you're gonna have to discharge that weapon. That is the purpose of a gun. You're walking your dog. Why the gun? And I'm not saying obviously that this is premeditated in any way or that she went out specifically to kill this woman, but I think those are questions that we need to put this woman on the stand and ask her these questions, because all she's going to do in that instance is basically further indict herself. Oh, well, there's dangerous people in the neighborhood. Okay, well, explain to us what a dangerous person means. Tell us what you think about that. You know, what exactly is your definition of what a dangerous person is? And again, as all the eyewitnesses say, as the surveillance camera says, the woman may have actually gone to her and was talking to herself. In no way was there any kind of threat. You know, did this woman pose any danger to the woman walking her dog? All she simply had to do was continue walking, walk away, maybe go around the individual and move on with your day. Everybody leaves alive, nobody goes to jail, but that's not what this woman chose to do. She said, you know what, I have my gun on me. I'm gonna go ahead and just do this instead. I'm gonna take somebody's life just because I don't feel like dealing with the situation. That's what happened. And it's sad and it's terrifying. And this is another story, not just of gun violence in the United States, of the lack of mental health care that we have for people. This woman should not have been sitting on a curb, homeless, talking to herself, having a mental health crisis. She should have been able to get the help that she needed, but we don't. And we leave them to die is what we do. We're leaving people to die on the streets because we don't want to take care of them. We don't want to pay the price for it. So she ends up paying the ultimate price for it.
So sad, unfortunate, avoidable. And once again, we highlight Karens on this show as well for this very specific reason. Individuals who believe that others around them are not valuable. Even if there was an argument, brother, arguments should not end in you pulling your gun out and killing somebody. What's very clear from the eyewitness testimony is that there's nothing here that warranted the death of another person. And it's just baffling, obviously, that she has received a bond. But we know white privilege gets you a whole lot of places, especially in the courtroom that she's in, which is in Texas. Okay, let me shift gears. This was a really, really insane story. A white male has been arrested for ramming a stolen SUV into an interracial couple's home. But it gets even deeper than that. This is in Cold Spring, Minnesota. This person rammed a stolen SUV into this couple's home last weekend. The police say after exiting the vehicle with it directed towards the couple's home, the white male placed a granite slab on the gas pedal. Listen, he was trying to kill these folks, okay? Here's the video. Now, he was, in my opinion, trying to kill somebody, okay? It just didn't work out the way he wanted it to work out. But when you do something like that, you're trying to inflict serious injury, perhaps death. Now, let's go to the graphic of the teddy bear that was inside of the SUV. There was a teddy bear inside of the SUV, just in case people may think, well, maybe this guy didn't really mean for this to happen. Maybe it was a mistake. Do we have the way he tied up this teddy bear? Oh, you see that? That was the message he wanted to send. A teddy bear hanging in a noose. That's what he did. The couple, Andrea and Felipe Robinson, said this individual, his name is Benton Bear, has been stalking them. He has now been charged for the attack with felony counts of auto theft, stalking, and property damage. Should be attempted murder. Let's put up a picture of his mugshot. That's him. That's the hateful SOB. The targets of this attack, Andrea and Felipe Robinson, let's put them up. They are the victims. They are your victims. The husband told CBS Minnesota that this sick individual decided to ramp up this truck and ramp up his aggression. He went from busting out windows to shooting at cameras to knowing their schedules so well that he would follow this man's wife into the grocery store. Let me show the carnage again. Let's get a picture of that SUV in the house, okay? He wanted that SUV to go straight into that home and actually either injure or kill the residents of that home. Once again, he has not been charged with attempted murder. He has not been charged with those crimes. Let me take you to the next video.
So here we are sitting in front of our broken home that was driven into by Benton Byer. After getting off the phone with the Stearns County Prosecutor's Office, they have opted not to charge him with assault. He's be charged with stalking, criminal damage to property, and felony theft. Their assault charges aren't standing because they don't feel they have enough proof that he intended to harm someone, although he drove an excursion into the front of our house with our vehicle sitting outside. He's very well aware of our schedule because he stalks us every day for the past 83 days. I need everyone watching this video to contact the Stearns County Prosecutor's Office, to contact every media organization, because we will be willing to speak. But to allow someone to drive into our house and leave a vehicle with a noose hanging in it, if that's not a clear enough message, I don't know what is. There was one intent, and that was to kill someone in my house. And for the grace of God, we're all sitting here today.
You see that, you hear that. The prosecution is saying, we don't have enough evidence here to charge this individual with an assault crime. I will go even further than that. He should be charged with attempted murder. Now, Benton Byer, that's the individual who has victimized this couple, is no stranger to the Robinsons. Andrea has a restraining order against him, and police have fielded 18 calls in the past 2 months about Benton Byer stalking and harassing her. They say the frightening behavior started after they posted a video about racism in their children's school and put a Black Lives Matter sign in their yard. Andrea says the sign became a target. You see what's happening here, right? You see what's happening. He targeted this family, stalked this family, was allowed to continue the aggression. Law enforcement did not step in. They did not stop him. He became emboldened. He became more aggressive to where he attempted to kill them. And then they arrest him for something, but they don't arrest him for the biggie. They don't arrest him for what he actually planned to do, what he intended to accomplish. They don't arrest him for that. You know why? Because they support it. You see, they understand. They get his white fragility. There's more. The police say if there's evidence of a racially motivated crime, they will seek prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. But the Robinsons have little faith, saying officers quickly gave up chasing a bear after the crash. They say that they have clear evidence that is racially motivated, they'll do something. Put up the picture of the teddy bear and the noose. There you go. That's clear evidence. There you have it. Maybe, I get it. They're going to argue that somehow in the crash, the bear just started to hang like that from the ceiling of the truck. Total coincidence. Police say they ended the search because the field he was in was wet and difficult to navigate. Felipe says Bear was only caught later thanks to a neighbor turning him in. So even when the cops pursued this guy after he attempted to kill this couple, they said, hey fellas, it's a little too tough out here to look for somebody who tried to murder citizens in our community. We're gonna call it a night. And then another citizen, another neighbor, had more heart than all these damn cops. My brother, what are your thoughts here?
You have intent, you have planning, premeditation, you have the history. It is a miscarriage of justice to not move forward with attempted murder charge, premeditated attempted murder. I mean, you don't, the granite slab on the gas pedal is actually a very big piece of evidence there. It shows that he knew severe damage was going to be caused, severe enough to where he didn't want to be in that vehicle. That is the intent. And everything does hinge on intent. Was the intent to scare them? Was the intent to harm them? Was the intent to kill them? Him bailing out of the vehicle, setting it essentially on autopilot to go at them. That's the intent, that he wanted these people to be dead. The fact that they had to make countless complaints to the police, get the restraining order, still nothing happens. There's a history of this, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked that the prosecutors are not going with this, although I shouldn't be shocked. Let's be honest, I should not be. But I still am, because you still want to think that there's some kind of justice in this country. You still want to believe that, the bad guys are gonna get caught and the good guys are not gonna get hurt. But that's not the country we live in. That's a fantasy, that's a Marvel movie. Yeah, I don't know that these people are ever gonna get true justice. I don't know that this individual will end up going to jail for more than maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and he's gonna be right back at it. The first thing he's probably gonna do is find out where these people are now, because nothing got done. There's gonna be no punishment, and it's a sick, sick world that we live in, where things like this can happen, and then the cops say, "Oh, well, we can't chase him because the field's wet." Oh my God, we got on our good shoes today. We don't want to go get dirty looking for a man who just tried to kill 2 people. But that's what they did.
That's exactly what they did, brother. And you make a great point about the premeditation involved. Obviously, the statutory definition of attempted murder fits hand in glove to something like this. You are well aware that your actions could in fact lead to the death of another person, and you intended your actions to cause severe harm or perhaps death to another individual. You have malice, you have proximity, you have motive, you have means, you have opportunity, you have an attempted murder charge. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm Nina Turner, and we are on the road to revolution, baby.
And I know sometimes people talk about the angry black woman, but I'm gonna tell you something. If you ain't mad as a mofo about what's going on here, something is wrong with you.
When people ask me all the time, what are the lessons from 2020, is that progressives have to get more organized and we gotta come together. We have to be as agile as neoliberals. The progressive movement has to understand that it's not just enough for us to have the right ideas. We are right on most of the ideas. We're not perfect, but we're 99% right, because it is a humanitarian agenda, but we must get the power. We have to come together in a more unified way so that we utilize our power strategically to topple neoliberalism, and it's gonna happen.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm new to TikTok, but about 3 years ago, I started my daily political news show, The Damage Report, because I noticed this trend where every morning I was waking up to this tsunami of news that was just generally dreadful and horrifying and shocking, and I thought that if I could spend my time helping people to navigate this, serving as a bit of a life raft, pointing out which news is important and why, there are worse ways to spend your day. We're not an average news show, and we don't want our TikTok presence to be average either, so feel free to let us know what you'd like us to do on the platform, and maybe give us a follow at The Damage Report.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it, and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapore here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, who's real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Back to Indisputable. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let me get to it. Don't forget Galaxy Brain with Ben Carollo. That takes place right after Indisputable. Make sure you stick around for that. You can always follow us on Indisputable TYT, social media. That includes Instagram, Twitter, all right? Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Indisputable TYT. It's free, easy, and quick. All right, TYT member, Indisputably Electric says, Dr. Rich is too strong for the stream. You want the truth? YouTube can't handle the truth. Yeah, it happens sometimes, but we come back every time. Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon says, I hope he's charged with a hate crime. That hanging teddy bear is the most disgusting part of this story. Yeah, and the cops are sitting around like Tweedledee and Tweedledum saying, well, we just don't have any evidence here for a hate crime. I mean, a teddy bear? YouTube super chat, Songs of Sovereignty. Mahalo for your work, Dr. Richie. Thank you. AC, perfect programming. Thank you. Thank you back. Macho Manda, thank you for that. Michael Norrish, minor correction. You keep saying two people, but the wife references their kid's school. I assume there's also kids in the house. This guy's sick. Yeah, and see, that was his intent. So even if the kid wasn't in the house, what's important is the intent, and you're right. R. King Juan Garcia, we unfortunately don't have enough mental health professionals and not enough in school. Yeah, Rose Column, thank you for that. Wayne Shigahara, I think I said that correct. I'm so happy to see this team up. I'm so inspired by the commentary and thoughtful discussion. Thank you. Gumpy Cat, hopefully they took away her gun. Sheriff didn't say anything about that. Didn't hear it in the judicial order either. Deborah Burns says, if that was a black woman did that to a white woman, there would be no bail or bond. Nope, not at all. Twitch, Mary Animal says, rest in power, DeAndrea. Yes, thank you. Platinum Yeti, I've never taken my gun with me on my walks, my dog walks, WTF. Cutman says, this happened in Cold Spring, Minnesota, and as someone who lived in the area for nearly a decade, I am completely unsurprised by this. Ladies and gentlemen, my next story, black teenager and her mother detained, arrested by the police. Let me just take you to the video.
Why you don't have to ever hear her? She will stay down, okay? You need to back up. You need to back up. Do not touch me. Back up. Back up. Shut up. Just calm down. Calm down. Hold on.
can talk to her. You cannot touch me.
But you can get up. You don't have to
No,
do
I
her
cannot.
like this.
She's trying to jump in front of me.
No, she's not. Please, Kaya, calm down. Kaya, calm down. She's what? Y'all is on her. It's 102 degrees out here. Okay, breathe. She cannot breathe. She's spitting up.
Okay, well, let us get her restrained and safe. Back up. Everybody will stop.
Literally foaming from her mouth. She is literally foaming from her mouth.
Just hold on a
She
second.
has not done anything. And then you are on her all up. I need your badge number and your name. Record his. Please do.
This young teenage African-American female did nothing illegal. I want you to know this. She was not arrested. She was not arrested, meaning she was not charged with anything, but you see clearly she was detained, she was handcuffed, and she was treated like a criminal. Now, according to the narrative from the sheriff's office, they're saying they did all of this for her own safety. Remember, 102 degrees outside. The young lady is saying, I cannot breathe. You have this grown ass man on top of your body, holding you down, suffocating you, and you're hyperventilating, you're anxious, you're terrified. This is all happening. Lightning speed to this young teenage person. Now, according to the sheriff's office, they did this because somebody said she was trying to hurt herself in traffic. The family completely disputes that narrative. So let me give you some background. Antonique Ray was arrested Tuesday after Kaufman County Sheriff's deputy restrained her daughter, 18-year-old Nakia Trigg, as the teenager walked through a Forney neighborhood. There's more. Here's the arrest of her mother, who was trying to calm her daughter down. Here's the arrest.
I'm not talking to you. Let go of her. Stop. Let go of her. You got that. Jay, stop. Jay, no, stop. Jay, stop. 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 No, sir, sir, please. Sir, please. Okay, stop. Okay, sir, please. Please. This is crazy, boy. It's gonna get handled for sure. Mama, stay calm. Mama, stay calm. Stay calm. When all y'all hear this camera was stay calm. Stay calm, Kaya. All I did was ask if my daughter couldn't breathe. She was foaming at the mat. It's all right. I got it all on video. But she wasn't doing nothing but walking. How you gonna with somebody and they walking? We pull up, he on top of her with his camera underneath her. That's what I'm saying. We pull up, and he's stop. He's laying on top of her. She's foaming out of her mouth. His body camera is laying underneath her. You can't do that. She get up and she tell you the handcuffs too tight, and then you're gonna throw her on the ground. What sense does that make?
You cannot blame the mother. You cannot blame the family for seeing a situation where it looks as if their loved one is about to die, about to be the next victim of the police. The mother was trying to calm her daughter down. Now, the police ended up arresting the mother for attempting to address the fact that her daughter is saying the handcuffs are tight. Why am I being arrested? Remember, the daughter committed no crime, but they found a way to still harass this family. You mean to tell me all of your training, you mean to tell me that you cannot handle a situation like this better? And I know some people are going to argue that this was within the rights of the cops. Listen, a wise man once told me, don't think that just because it's legal or allowable, it's ethical or right. We need to start changing what we look at as right in this country. Nikki Razorhands released something. I'm gonna read this. It's kind of lengthy. We got that up. This was all for nothing. Hello, my sister and mother was just affected by police brutality in Forney. Nakia was simply walking home and somebody called the police and said she was trying to jump in front of cars. The first officer, Martin, showed up and grabbed her arm and twisted it 2 different ways without addressing her, put her on the ground, choked her, and sat on top of her while she can't breathe to where she was foaming at the mouth. You all saw that. My mother appeared trying to calm her down and hold her hand, and the officer punched her and I think drugged her is what it means, and sat on top of her. Also, the same police officer, Martin, put his arm in her throat. We have video. Also, his camera wasn't on. This was all for nothing. My sister was walking home and my mother was only trying to help. And now they have her in jail for assault on a police. We need help. We do not want this to go unseen. My sister almost died for no reason. Please share, tag, smash tag anybody. We need this viral. We need help. Hashtag get off her. Well, Nikki, we're here. We're here, all right? And we're going to expose it. And a lot of people are going to know about it. Eventually, the body camera footage recovered from the scene where Triggs is shown just walking and crying on the sidewalk. And in fact, a policeman grabs her arm and she says, "Why are you hurting me?" So what the sister said is 100% accurate, proven by footage that was released later. This never should have happened at all. Farron, what are your thoughts here?
One of the things that stuck out the most to me is watching the video and seeing the mother and the other family members having to just tell her, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. That spoke volumes to me. That reaches beyond just the ridiculousness of this officer jumping on top of her. That's the family understanding. Here you have a renegade white cop. You have no idea what this young little idiot is gonna do. Don't do anything that's gonna get you shot. That's what they were terrified of. That's what they were terrified of. And so they have to be calm, be calm, be calm, be calm. Let me touch your hand. It's sick. It is sick that this is where we are. And it wouldn't shock me if that family previously had to have discussions about that, or if families are having discussions about that all the time right now. Like, just try to be calm in that situation. You don't know what they're gonna do. And then of course, later on in the video, we get Rambo showing up there with his taser drawn, ready to shoot anybody who weren't even near where the officers were taking the young woman and the mother was following. I mean, God, as usual, you get at a loss for words, because obviously I don't want to, say all the horrible things I'm thinking and get your channel flagged here for language. But my God, there's only so much of this you can see before your blood starts boiling, and you understand the pain that these individuals are feeling. The fact that this young woman had done nothing wrong. Nothing that she was even accused of is a crime here. You're walking. Your body cam footage showed it. You took the body cam off at some point, obviously, for it to be underneath the person you're restraining. If it had fallen off in a struggle, you would think the body cam would either be to the side or in between your bodies. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here. But it's things like this aren't going to stop. The whole system has to change. The whole system has to be torn down and built into something that actually works for this country, where racism isn't a massive part of it, because that's what played the big role here. And the family knew it, and thank God, they were able to be there for each other and not, have anybody freaking out too much. There's only so much you can do, obviously, when your sister or your daughter is sitting there foaming at the mouth because a cop has his arm on her throat. But God, the situation could have been worse. Yeah, and thank God it wasn't. I mean, it's the best we can say about that.
Yeah, and it is so ironic that police, who are taxpayer funded, are supposed to respond to problems and solve them, remedy them, provide solution when necessary. But you see situations like this where they are the root of the problem. They caused the problem. They were the catalyst of the problem. They are the problem. Okay, shifting gears. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not condone violence, but this is a public service announcement to all would-be Karens in the world. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
own my property,
dare you.
okay?
Get
own
off my property.
I'm gonna stand right here.
I own
Because
my
you don't
property.
own this.
Bitch, get the
You don't own this. You don't own this. You don't own this.
You better get this bitch out of here. You better get this bitch out of here.
You walked on mine. At the end of the day, when you want to put on people's door, make sure you put the address and shit. Don't try to put on people's door. I lived here for 2 years. Ain't changed with the HOA. That's right. And y'all ain't changed. You've been here for 22 years, and your old ass sitting over here looking at this the same way, and you ain't doing nothing. Y'all thieving ass bitches. All y'all doing is stealing money. That's what y'all doing. That's why you mad. Y'all thieving ass bitches. Y'all thieving ass bitches.
Get off fucking property, bitch. You better back up. You better back the up. You
make me.
Oh, you heard.
I'm a bitch. I'm a bitch. You want to call somebody a I'm a yo, you crazy? Look, now you're not on your property. Now you're not on your property. Now you're in the fucking street. You gonna call me? You gonna call me a huh? You gonna call me a now you in the street. Now we ain't on no property. Call me a again.
Let me rein this in. I do not, once again, condone violence. Now, if you are in an argument, whatever that argument may be, and you decide to walk up in a black person's face and start calling them the N-word to their face, that basically becomes combat, as we have seen here. Now, I know that the young black woman who's in this story, she could have taken another route as well, but that's not my focus here. I'll just be 100 with you. My focus is the fact that when arguments happen, which it's part of humanity, why is it that these particular individuals, not all white females, but white females of a certain type, the Karens of the world, why do they feel the necessity to go racist? Why? It's an argument. People argue. You can walk away from an argument or you can continue to. You can call people names, but racist default seems to happen quite often here. Farron, you see a lot of nuance to this as well, but damn, when you walk up in a black person's face and you are bold enough to just start calling them the N-word, stuff can happen.
It's to answer your question, there's why they go to this. It's because they're trying to inflict maximum harm at that point. They know how charged up that word is, and they know they can use that to really just set somebody off. And that's why they do it. That is their weapon. That is their go-to choice to try to, oh, look, I'm better than you, and I'm going to call you this. That's why she did it. She wanted that kind of reaction. I truly believe that watching this video, she wanted absolutely for that woman to come at her.
Brother, I got to push back. I don't think she wanted that level of ass kicking.
Probably not that much, no.
No, not that much. I mean, maybe she thought something would spark the person and she would really be in violation of trespass, so she can, call the police and say this person did A, B, and C. But I don't think anyone, especially that Karen, was expecting that level of dragging at all.
Oh no, definitely not. But now because she used that word, she's gonna get what she wanted out of this. This woman, unfortunately is probably gonna be charged with something for this. Likelihood of, possibly based on this, getting kicked out of where she lives there. Obviously, the dispute was over some kind of homeowners association type thing, based on what we can see there. So she, even though she got her butt handed to her there, she's gonna count this as a victory. She's gonna count that as her actually winning ultimately, because she was able to elicit that kind of response by going that low against this woman. And it's unfair. It's unfair. But I do think to a degree, again, probably didn't expect that, but ultimately she got what she wanted from this, I think.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks.
Ooh.
Now these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like. tyt.com/join and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitzing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny. Bye. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing. I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
And this is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. I'll refer to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT? Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
All right, welcome to Dr. Rashad Richard Indisputable. This is going to be quite interesting. I don't know if you can handle this much truth on any day of the week. The unrest inside of the black community and communities that support them. It's because these cops are not held accountable. You have a family calling 911, and that family is expecting help, not expecting their loved one to be killed by the very people they pay to protect and serve them. Did you ever notice a cop that you work with call any black person the N-word or target people because they were black? Nope. But we disagree that somehow police officers are not also subject to the same systemic biases and racism as any other level of law enforcement.
It sounds like for everybody's need who wants to crucify the cops without looking at it.
No, crucify bad cops, brother.
Bad cops.
We don't need the government to step into our lives mandating that we should be wearing a mask.
You putting on a mask, Trey, is government intrusion. But you don't think the government telling a woman what she can or cannot do with her body isn't government intrusion.
Where does life begin?
You want to go there? I can read it to you, brother.
You seem very well prepared. Certainly more.
Of course, why would I not be well prepared? They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform throughout this country, so I won't stop, and you won't stop either.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
And thank you all for chiming in. TYT member, next TYT reporter says, love you, Farron, the big homie. Rob says, just because you got the power, that don't mean you got the right. Motorhead, that's right. The YouTube super chat, Nicole Smith. Teenager crumbles paper and gives angry look at cop charged with hate crime. White supremacist rams truck into couple's home with history, nothing. I have no words. Forgot the Guillotine says, you present content everybody needs to know, and you do it with the perfect combination of righteous passion and professional restraint. Thank you for it. Well, thank you for saying that. 3 Audacia. I wish a Karen Wood clip seemed to have gone viral. I know what I'm watching tonight. Get some popcorn, root beer float or something. Enjoy yourself. Sarah K says, so happy to see Farron on Indisputable. Love y'all. And Sarah, we love you back. Thank you for that. Nikki Nova 08 says, Farron Cousins dropping truth with Dr. Richie. My Friday is complete. That's the way I feel when Farron's on the show too, by the way. Yeah. Luminara 843, that Karen video is not funny, but I couldn't help but think, no, Miss Sophia, no. James Thomas, we need to find out who's making these calls. Yeah, I mean, who called the police on the teenage kid in the first place? Okay, Twitch, sarcastic snowflake. I got it. I probably would have got charged for assault on an officer. Do my kids like that and see what happens? Lazy Omega says, so she crossed the street while black. Yeah. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday?
You're still free. Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Taxes, I pay for this park, and I don't like to see people wrecking it.
We're not wrecking it. There's literally so many berries everywhere.
Oh my God, we're not wrecking it. Oh, there's so many berries out here. There's so many berries.
I cannot.
Complete twits.
We're twits. You're the one coming up to 2 young girls, getting mad at them for picking.
They're like 6 years old.
6 years old?
Because we wanted to eat some berries.
I'm saying, eat all the berries you want. Just don't take the bush with you.
It's not the bush. It's literally it's a tiny branch of berries.
Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you mind your own business?
You know, that is the rudest thing you've said to me.
You decided to come
back
up
where
to
you
us.
came from if you want to use language like that.
Oh, why don't you go back to where you came from, you colonizer?
Are you First Nations?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't call me a colonizer.
You're a colonizer. You're
where did you come from?
Yeah, where did you come from?
Where did you come from? I'm actually curious.
The U.S.
U.S.?
Oh, yeah.
So you're not even
you're
from
not
here.
Canadian either.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, so but we are Canadian too. I was born here.
I was born here too.
Okay.
Were you born here?
No.
Okay, so this is actually like I was born here and you're not even born here, and you're telling me to go back to where your grandparents weren't either. That's the thing. Were your grandparents born here? No.
She's smiling. She wants to get a reaction out of us.
This is so hilarious.
I am getting a reaction out of you too, aren't I?
Oh my.
This is a bigger problem than I thought. Karenicity has gone international. It's in Canada. The pandemic is real. Ladies and gentlemen, these were 2 young ladies of color picking berries. They're in the wild. Berries grow in places. They were picking them. This Karen, who really didn't care about the berry tree, just really needed to put these 2 in their place, evidenced by the fact that when the back and forth continued, she said, go back to where you came from, exposing her true agenda from the beginning. Farron?
You know, 2 things here. First and foremost, I think that's the first hippie Karen I've ever seen. So, you know, we've got that going there. But 2, I love how those 2 young girls outsmarted her.
Yeah.
How they just totally flipped the script on her. You know, you're the one who technically isn't even from here. You're not even from this country, I guess. But no, they were. And so it is about privilege. You know, she says, well, my tax dollars pay for this, before she had her little freak out thing. You know, I just want the park to be okay. I don't want, you can eat the berries, but don't destroy the bush. It's entitlement. It's white privilege at its finest. You know, oh, these aren't people I usually see on the trail. Usually it's people that look like me. That's what she's saying. That's what she was saying without actually having to say it. And it's disgusting, and it is very sad, obviously, that this is, you know, as you say, going international at this point. that everybody is now, you got to be on the lookout for these people because it can strike anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the woods, if you're at the grocery store, you're gonna run into a Karen eventually, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't wait until somebody, and maybe somebody watching can go ahead and do this for me. When this Karen was, flipping out, please make that a meme. Do that quickly. We need that in our lives this weekend if you can. Farron, always a pleasure, brother. Tell people how they can check you out.
You can get me on YouTube, youtube.com/The Ring of Fire, or my other channel, youtube.com/Farron Balanced, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @Farron Balanced. And it's always a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much for having me today.
The feeling is completely mutual, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We got more. Bullpen is next. Stick and stay.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks. Ooh. Now these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like. tyt.com/join and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitzing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny Pie. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here. This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
This is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. I'll refer to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot. If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
All right, welcome to Dr. Rashad Richard Indisputable. This is going to be quite interesting. I don't know if you can handle this much truth on any day of the week. The unrest inside of the black community and communities that support them. It's because these cops are not held accountable.
You have a family calling 911, and that family is expecting help, not expecting their loved one to be killed by the very people they pay to protect and serve them. Did you ever notice a cop that you work with call any black person the N-word or target people because they were black? Nope. But we disagree that somehow police officers are not also subject to the same systemic biases and racism as any other level of law enforcement.
It sounds like for everybody's need who wants to crucify the cops without looking at it.
No, crucify bad cops, brother. Bad cops.
We don't need the government to step into our lives mandating that we should be wearing a mask.
You think you putting on a mask, Trey, is government intrusion, but you don't think the government telling a woman what she can or cannot do with her body it isn't government intrusion.
Where does life begin?
You want to go there? I can read it to you, bro.
You seem very well prepared. Certainly more.
Of course, why would I not be well prepared? They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform throughout this country, so I won't stop, and you won't stop either.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let me get to it. Thank you all for always being so interactive with Indisputable. All right, let's see what we have. Okay. TYT member, LMG15. My favorite part was when Barry Karen thought that flailing her arms around was owning them. Yeah, I know she thought she did something when she did that. That whole move. Karenicity logic, by the way, that's where that makes sense. Subliminal sapper. Give me some Indisputable merch, damn it. Best show on TYT. Guess what though? It's coming. C. Baker, Canadian here. I'm so embarrassed. If I was Canadian, sir, I would be too. About the Karen, not just if you're just a Canadian. Okay, all right. Ham Salad Dragon 13. Good to see you, Farron. Thank you. Farron has left, but he's probably still watching. So yes, he feels the love. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. I don't know what happened, but this is going to be an awesome bullpen, obviously. In the bullpen today, we have Matt Laurentier.
That's me.
And this is going to be so fun, man. I mean, your background already tells the story. So you're host of the FUD Busters, and you are a big guns guy. So we're going to talk about the right to bear arms, and also more specifically about what are called ghost guns and also printed 3D guns, which is insane to me that anyone would advocate for that.
So I got a bunch of them right here, so it looks like you're in for a treat.
I see that. I don't want to presume what you believe about gun rights in America because there's significant nuance to that conversation. But what are your general thoughts about the right to bear arms in the United States?
Well, I don't think there's any significant difference about the right to bear arms in the US versus anywhere else in the world. I think it's a core human right that flows from the right to self-defense, which of course I define as the right to be secure from unlawful and illegal force against your body. I think it flows logically that we have the right to use whatever tools are necessary as to secure our bodies against unlawful force. And I think the purest way of acquiring those tools is to make them yourselves. And so that kind of flows perfectly well into the conversation we're about to have, I think.
All right, so let me go ahead and challenge you on a couple of things. You graduated cum laude from the University of Alabama. You have a JD degree and a Master's of Laws and Taxation. So you're a study guy, okay? Which I can definitely appreciate. When you say a right to self-defense, that basically the right to bear arms is an extension of your right of self-defense. Let me challenge that somewhat. The Constitution naturally grants us particular rights as human beings in America. Some of those rights you have based on birth. Some of those rights you have or you grow into based on statute. For example, every person has the right of due process, no matter what. You're born into that right. You don't have to wait to turn a certain age to exercise that particular right. But in order to exercise the right to bear arms, every state statutorily, they make a determination of what age that should be, which means if you're saying that the right to bear arms flows from the right of self-defense, you have the right of self-defense at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, you have the right of self-defense. But if you're saying that the right to bear arms and the right of self-defense are basically one and the same, or they flow from the same river, you would then have to make the intellectual argument that the right to bear arms should also be extended to anyone who has the right of self-defense, which would in fact include a 5-year-old child.
Okay, well, so there's a lot to unpack there. And first of all, and I'll do it nice and quick, but I think that you're conflating the legal treatment of our rights in this particular country with the actual fundamental human rights. And the fact is that I do think that the right to arms flows from that natural right to self-defense. Does that mean that it hasn't been infringed for, in the majority of the world for the majority of time? No, absolutely. And there's a lot of Supreme Court doctrine that says that your rights don't fully form until you reach a certain age of maturity. And of course, that age is always arbitrary. It's an arbitrary line. Do I think that it's drawn correctly? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I divorce the right to arms from the Constitution. Now, the Constitution recognizes, doesn't enshrine, but recognizes our pre-existing right to arms. And so I just think those are important, bits of nuance to make. I think that we have a natural core human right, and that every person everywhere in the world has that right. And I think that pretty much everywhere in the world that those rights are very heavily infringed in an unjust manner.
So let's talk about something else you said. You said basically a person should be able to utilize any tool necessary to defend themselves, right? So does that mean that you should be able to purchase any tool to defend yourself?
Well, any tool that's appropriate for those means, I think yes. I think, and people always go into, oh, well, what about nukes? And there's a public nuisance
what about
problem.
Grenades?
Yeah, well, what about grenades? So there's a public nuisance problem, right? That when you use a grenade, sometimes, maybe if you live in the middle of Arizona, maybe there's an argument that you could effectively use a grenade in self-defense. I don't know. I'm not too interested in fighting that out. Frankly, if we get to the point that's what we're having to fight on, then I think I'll have succeeded in my career and I'll go write spy novels on the beach or something. But right now I'm trying to just keep everyone from tearing simple rifles out of our hands.
So simple rifles, nobody's debating that you do not have the right to bear arms. But with every right, you would agree to this as a trained jurist, every right has a responsibility connected. And because of that responsibility connected, there are regulations to that right. So let me give you an example. I know a lot of people call what I believe in gun control, and I really hate that terminology. You believe in the freedom of speech, right?
Of course.
Okay. And that freedom, which is codified in the US Constitution, tells us that the government cannot infringe on my freedom of speech, religious expression, assembly, etc. But there are restrictions to that freedom. I cannot use that freedom to harm other people, for example. I can be charged with a crime from the government. The government can restrict that behavior. So my freedom of speech has statutory restrictions, but nobody calls the statutory restriction to my freedom of speech control. But when we have statutory restrictions to the use of guns, the terminology is then gun control. But every right has statutory restriction, all of them. What's the issue with that? Why is that a problem?
So does the fact that it's written in statute make it morally right? I mean, I'm sure you remember there was a lot of very bad stuff in this country that was considered to be good law for a very long time. And I'm sure you're extremely well aware that the origin of modern gun control law, I'm interested in the point you make there. I definitely love to talk with you about that more later. But the genesis of this stuff was particularly aimed at people of color and immigrants and stuff like that. It was in my opinion, the very genesis of these laws is void and is completely without the scope of our Constitution. I think that at the very genesis, the types of laws that people want to push now should be void under equal protection, under due process, under a lot of things aside from the Second Amendment. And I think it's very important to have that backdrop. Like, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of New York Sullivan law was only ever enforced against Italians. That kind of says something. I live in Florida. The Supreme Court of the state of Florida has recognized that the Reconstruction era gun control laws that were placed in Florida were only ever used to disarm black men.
Yeah, okay. So let me give you some insight to what you're saying, because I intentionally do not participate in certain programs. In my local community, the sheriff knows me, the solicitor knows me, the mayor knows me. They have asked me to participate in what's called gun buyback programs from urban communities that I was raised in. My answer is no. I do not engage in disarming those hoods or those communities that I was raised in. I don't do that because y'all are not disarming. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're not telling you all or others who don't look like the community I came from to disarm. So that's a different debate.
When you say y'all, you mean like the police, or do you mean?
No, I mean individuals who are pro-gun. individuals who are on the conservative side or conservative leaning in the ideology.
Right.
The laws that you just talked about, the implementation has always been skewed because of the implicit bias, racism, et cetera, that's inside of our systems. Absolutely. So that's one thing you and I actually agree with, right? You're a conservative guy, or at least conservative leaning.
Am I?
Yeah, you got, yeah, you are.
I don't know about that, man.
You don't think you are? All right, so you're conservative.
Yeah, you should read some of my writings.
All right, so you're conservative. Let me say this: you're conservative on this issue, but you and I do completely agree on the issue of unfair execution of legal statutes. We agree on that 100%.
Right, and unfair intent. I think, I think that it's beyond execution. And if you look at the brief that was just filed in the Supreme Court the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case on behalf of the Black Defense Bar, they pointed out that almost all of the gun crime that people talk about, this big spooky gun crime, is simple, peaceable possession of a firearm. And I don't have to tell the audience who's 70% of the people that they prosecute for that simple, peaceable possession. I don't even have to tell you.
Brother, music to my ears. I researched that as well, and what they do is they itemize it as gun violations, so that they can promote the data where Black people are the majority in that data, just for having a gun on them.
Right.
No other crime.
And who is it that's the most frequently the victim of violent crime? It's poor and minority Americans. And so I think it's, really makes sense from a human rights perspective and from, wanting to protect human life to say, hey, we should be making guns as cheap and accessible as possible so that these people who most need them can get them. Maybe I lost you, but.
Yes, all right, now you're in the lion's den. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is the part where we completely disagree.
That's okay.
The Biden administration, and I want to provide context for those who are watching. The Biden administration has directed the Department of Justice to propose a rule to stop the creation of what's called ghost guns. Now, these are literally 3D printed guns you can make at home, but there are various ways to make guns, but literally you could just print one and it's a functional gun. You got some behind you, right? Now,
I designed those ones.
The genesis of it is that these guns are untraceable. And the reasoning behind the directive is because of the untraceable aspect of these weapons. 30% in some regions in the country, 30% of guns that are used in crimes are untraceable, not because they're created, but because they have been wiped of the serial numbers, okay? Which creates the same de facto circumstance if you're able to create these guns as well. Do you not find it potentially problematic given the fact that in many regions up to 30% of violent crimes that are committed with guns are committed with guns that are non-traceable? Do you not find it problematic when you invite in a way to create, to make, to print non-traceable guns? You don't think criminals will take significant advantage of that, and it does not warrant a common sense statutory restriction?
I mean, I wish you would have just asked the question instead of adding more, asterisks to it. But I mean, no, I don't think it's a real problem. And I think you actually hit on it. And I don't think that you have any bad intentions or that you're, trying to be a gun grabber. I think it's awesome that you don't take part in those attempts to disarm Black communities. I think it's really principled that you take those stances. However, I just want to point out that this whole traceability thing is a bunch of garbage. It's really a CSI misunderstanding, an intentional misleading of how these things work. In fact, every single gun that was made before 1968 is de facto untraceable the way they're talking about it, because the standardizations for serialization weren't set down until the Gun Control Act, right? Which again had very bad, very negative intentions. The vast majority of guns that are out there, after they trade hands privately 2 or 3 times, become as untraceable, and I'm using scare quotes here because I think it's a nonsense term, as any other gun, as a printed gun, as a gun you mill out of an 80, whatever. There is not a principled distinction between a 3D printed gun and a gun that came out of the factory and just has been on the market for 15 or more years. There is just no practical difference, and that's because when these guns trade hands, guess what? The tracing system that they want you to believe, they want you to believe that there's these psychics that can tell exactly where a gun is and what the gun's criminal intent is. that can only trace where the gun has been with a federally licensed dealer. And if you want to then say, okay, well, let's shoehorn everything into these federally licensed dealers, right? Because that's where people go with the universal background checks. Well, then you're in a situation exactly like it was with Florida in the post-war period, where suddenly, again, who's the people running the gun shops? Do you really want them to be the one and only gatekeeper of the right to protect your own life? Or do you want it to be so that those people who are disadvantaged and who are at real risk of unlawful violence to be able to stay alive and to protect themselves? And I mean, we might disagree on how we get there, but I think we agree on the core principle. My answer is, hell, get those people as many cheap printable gun parts kits as possible and let them be protected.
Okay, let me read something to you about the tracing process. Firearms tracing begins when a law enforcement agency discovers a firearm at a crime scene and wants to learn where it came from. The NTC receives the trace request and uses the gun's serial number to identify its original manufacturer and or importer. From their records, NTC is able to track the firearm through the wholesale and resale distribution chain to its first retail purchaser. So literally, law enforcement is able to trace the firearm with one piece of dynamic information.
But you just said it there yourself. The first retail purchaser. And the data they have, right? So pre-68.
Well, brother, pre-1968. Wait a minute.
It's gone. You can't trace it.
Okay, listen to me, brother.
I got you, brother.
The information that I just read to you, you can find it real clear. It's ATF.gov. Do you know how many weapons? You're a guns guy.
Well, I have a gun shop. So I've responded to ATF traces. I know how this works.
I got you,
the
brother.
Records.
Well, if you know how it works, listen to me, brother. If you know how it works, you know good and damn well they can trace it based on serial numbers.
No, they can't. They can trace it to the first retail purchaser.
Let me read this again.
To the first retail, no, you said it, the first retail purchaser. So what about after that? What about any gun that was sold? So the majority of Glock Gen 3s, right? They were sold more than 5 years ago,
because
right?
I don't think you heard me.
I did.
Okay, well, allow me to read it again and hopefully you catch up on what it actually says. The NTC is able to track the firearm through wholesale, resale distribution chain, all the way to its first retail purchaser.
What are you talking about? So, and where that first retail purchaser is, so let me explain. The manufacturer, which we're a federally licensed manufacturer, puts the gun in the bound book, okay? Then when we sell the gun to a distributor, we log the gun out to the distributor. The distributor logs it into the bound book. The distributor sells it to a local dealer, logs it out, local dealer logs it in. Local dealer sells it to the dude, logs it out to the dude. Dude no longer has any record keeping requirements and it would be impossible for them to do such. So dude sells gun. Dude maybe dies, gun disappears, anything happens, like I'm saying. Anything that's more than a year old.
I understand the nuance you're arguing. Okay, let me make it clear. The nuance that you're arguing is that yes, you can actually trace a gun back to the person that purchased the weapon, but if they decide to sell it privately on the private market, there's no tracing ability required. Now, here's the issue. Here's the problem with your analysis, brother. 42% of gun sales in the United States happen without the need for somebody to present an ID or to provide that kind of information, okay? Okay, I disagree with that rule, but I get it, that is a rule. So you're right on one very small part that a private gun seller can sell to somebody without the requirement of saying who they sold to. Here's why it's still important to know who got the gun in the first damn place. If somebody bought the gun from you and they decided to sell it to their neighbor goes out and commits a crime with the gun, well, they come back to you. You say, this is the person I sold it to. Law enforcement goes to that person and they say, hey, I no longer own that gun. My neighbor owns that gun. That person committed the murder. Now you have traced the gun based on one thing, the fact that it has a freaking serial number.
Well, what about any gun that was made more than 5 years ago? What about the vast and sweeping majority of guns that have been out there forever? Even when they go back into commercial distribution.
So you're arguing the whataboutism of previously creating guns.
No, what about the hundreds of millions of guns that
exist? Just listen to me, brother, to make your point that it's a bad thing to be able to have serial numbers for guns. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
guns should
actually,
not have
no, I'm
serial
saying
numbers?
they're still traceable they're still traceable the same way that we trace the other guns because of the way we log them into our A&D books. You log a gun without a serial number.
That's because you, sir, you are a responsible gun seller. Okay, I can say that. I'm okay with saying that.
No, the federal law says I have to do it.
Right, because you're responsible to do it. Right? A federal law says you got to do it, you're going to do it.
I already have to log all these guns in, so I don't understand what it is you're advocating for.
Brother, this is what I'm bringing to your table, brother. If you can print damn guns, print them, right? Without any restriction from the government, that is adversarial to what you do. That's different than what you do.
No, it's not.
There's a reporting mechanism for you.
But
there's a logging mechanism for you.
Gatekeeper that is put here to increase costs. If the person can make their gun on their own, and again, it's illegal for them to do it for criminal purposes, it's illegal for them to do it for the purpose of resale. It's not going to be any more illegal to make a gun for criminal purposes if you change the law. It doesn't change anything. The only thing that it would do is increase costs, and I think that's just going to hurt poor Americans.
Yeah,
Let them just print their gun.
I completely disagree. That the only thing it does is increase costs. I think it actually increases carnage.
But do you agree it does? Do you agree it increase costs?
When it may, I don't know. I haven't researched that, but I do know having people with the ability to print guns will increase carnage and also increase the chances that you can't find out who the hell committed the murder.
I print guns all the time, and they're very polite.
Yeah, once again, man,
look at them.
You're federally regulated. You can't compare yourself to somebody on the street who decides to act in a criminal way.
All my friends do it. All their guns are polite and handsome.
Are they acting in a criminal way against the federal guideline?
No.
All right, so the federal guideline.
So why should we punish them? Should we punish me and my friends?
Wait a minute, you can't commit murder either. That's not because you do commit murder. That's because there's a law saying you should not commit murder. So here's the thing: if you're acting lawfully, you shouldn't care that there are additional restrictions for those who do not.
So if you're acting lawfully, should you be able to print a gun?
If you register that gun and it's allowable to do so, that's fine.
But there's no federal gun registry for regular semi-automatic firearms.
Damn it, it should be.
Why?
It should be.
So that the government can track down everybody and go into those neighborhoods of people they don't like and disarm them? That sounds like not very cool.
Yeah, I definitely get your point on that, brother.
I mean, we've seen it happen. I understand you. I think you're a good guy, but I think it'll happen. I do.
And you can live in that fear-monger place. That's fine.
I'm not scared.
I completely disagree with the assessment or the observation that is what happens. I think it's common sense. If you have, especially if you're one of these guys that have 6,000 weapons, 150,000 rounds of ammunition, like I just reported about 2 weeks ago, you need to be tracked. You need to be under surveillance. Somebody needs to be watching you. There needs to be a rule, a law, a statute to regulate that kind of behavior. Brother, I do have to go, man. I'm already flat over my time, but we'll bring you back and we'll debate after Joe Biden makes this new law, makes this new directive, we'll debate that, okay?
I'll sue him.
That was the best comeback at the end of a bullpen, man. I'll let you have that one. And he'll be sued by a whole lot of people when it happens.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.